Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Zwift Community Live broadcast of the Zwift Racing League. We're on the 2021-22 Season 2, out on one of the courses I think a lot of the riders have been looking forward to, or at least the climbers are. Temples and Towers, New McCurry Islands course. Never been raced before in the ZRL, and it really did not upset yesterday, that's for sure. Well, it did upset. It caused all kinds of mayhem yesterday in the Premier Division, this morning as well in APAC. It was really exciting to watch Anna and Kate as well as you guys yesterday all over on GCN Racing. If you want to check out Premier Division, make sure to head over to GCN Racing's YouTube as well as their Facebook. Amazing racing yesterday. Really shook things up a little bit. Kind of. The women's side of things, holy cow, they just know what they're doing. Wahoo Lacole, don't they, Dave?
Ooh. Tell you what, and history being made. Wahoo Lacole winning on both the men's and the women's side. That was extremely cool. Next ended up second. I love the parity that we're seeing, Nathan, and you're exactly right. It was unbelievable racing. I would really say that I think we're doing stepping stones as we head into World Championships at the end of the month, where it was a puncher's course, if you ask me, to talking about what we're going to be racing on today as well out here in the McCurry Islands. It's an aggressive riders course. You could see that executing team tactics, you have a lot to work with out here. And you're right. What the women did on Wahoo Lacole's side of things, that was a master class in racing out there. It was unbelievably fun to watch and be a part of. And I think you're right. A lot of racers getting ready to absolutely have at it out here today. We're going to jump in with EMEA. This is the East, and I assume Division 1?
Yeah, we're going to be right on in with the Division 1 for sure as the riders get out on course here. The men are out, and it looks like the action is on with Skylab immediately on the front as they hit their first climb. We'll take a look at the league standings as we get into it here. We will be jumping in with the ladies as well shortly after this for the Central. We will be covering across a lot of different racing out here today, so just stick around as this is one of our This is one of our Russian riders here.
Sprint already.
Diasov, and he is giving it a go. And we saw this from Odin yesterday early on, actually. Didn't end up sticking, but I have a feeling that Diasov might have the legs for this.
He's, without any doubt, one of the strongest riders that we've seen come through the ZRL community. He's going to be a major impact player. I predict a big future for him up in Premier, to tell you the truth. Let's see if the Russian is going to hold on for Skylab here now. So this the first points opportunity comes up here on Rooftop. It's Rooftop, Castle, and Temple. There's a lot to dissect in the racing here. I do believe that Diasov is strong enough to hold on. We'll get a good look. It's going to really take a monster effort here to pick up the first points on offer. Will Skylab take it out? You can see, man, this seems like it's going on forever, like sprinting through wet cement out here, Nathan.
Right now, Pilkington come across. There's a 1 second gap. Oh. It looks like Kirchmeier here making a move. Are they going to be able to hold on and roll right on through on him? They've got a couple of more bends here to go. They actually have a little bit of a gap over. It looks like Ali Peck over there as well. But Team Hex now comes on through Sutton. And these last few meters, it looks like, are going to be taken out by Hex so far. Well, excuse me. There's actually got a little ways to go here. This actually is a little bit of a... it can psych you out a little bit with those initial punches on the climb here, and you do kind of feel like you're going through some intestines of climbing over and over as we hit the towers up here. As moving to the front now, it is going to be Ali Peck over. Skylab, they sent, it looked like, Diasov up the road for a moment here, perhaps to set up the rest, or is he still going to be able to give it another go here as they make their way to the front?
He'll be back, is my estimation, Nathan. I should say that we've got 33 kilometers of racing out here, including an interesting dirt sector, the Temple climb, but the race doesn't end on top at the Temple. It continues on. So we might see some bike changes being made out here today. This is Daz Carter, another one of the stars of the league here. You're going to see a lot of that yellow jersey today of the BL13 team, the white jersey of Skylab out here.
It looked like Carter
very active,
challenging Hunter there. We'll see who is able to take that down between the two of them. Power-ups out here today, Steamroller, Burrito, and Arrow, if I'm not incorrect.
That's what we had yesterday, and I believe you've got it correct. So Aero 25% slipperier out there for 15 seconds. The Burrito is 10 seconds of a 2.5 meter radius behind your rear wheel where there's no draft. And then Steamroller, which is the big player here. That's the one everybody's looking for. 30 seconds. It turns the whatever surface you're on, including tarmac, into tarmac, right? So don't waste it. Make sure that you use it at the right time. And obviously that last time that you get your power-ups, that one was the difference maker yesterday for everybody.
Yeah, and we saw that over the top of that climb, actually. Pretty intense uses of those steamrollers. Those who saved them for the fastest rolling sections, it seemed like, as they made their way over the top of that climb, and on that dirt climb, you have a few sections where the speeds can get really, really high. And because of that, I think the steamroller was best used through those sections. Maybe with a little bit of a punch over that. There's one last little double-digit gradient kick toward the end. And right as you crest over the top of that and really build up some speed, I think that was the section that we saw a lot of people struggle to hang on to the front pack and really split things apart. So we'll see if there's any good use of that. And I have a feeling that anybody that's grabbing a steamroller at this point or forward until then are going to be saving them. We're not going to be seeing their use most likely until that crucial moment out there today.
I agree. That's 100% what I would be doing, Nathan. So really what we're seeing now, the new dynamics in play, the way the racers are approaching the races. Yesterday we had I think it was a 9-rider breakaway that went clear at a critical moment in the race. And the tactics were exquisite, to tell you the truth. I mean, it was really amazing to see now how in real life racing and what we're seeing out here. Yeah, it's a different kind of athlete. It's a very specialized athlete that makes esports work for them. But the way bike racing works and the physics and the power-ups are a fantastic addition. And the randomness, you can see there, the Aero power-up, that's that Aero helmet. I think I saw a steamroller too back there, which right now what I would, again, we're early in this race. We've got a long way to go. You certainly want to make sure you have it at the end, talking about that steamroller.
Yeah, interesting use there by the Cryogen rider. I think that's Batten.
Not sure why.
Gomber, yeah. I think, coming out of France, I believe, is using that there. So we can take a quick look at the points and how they played out. It's going to be Hunter taking down first across the line and the fastest through the segment. Carter was right on his heels. We thought perhaps he was able to nudge it by just a wheel length, but unable to do so. He ends up taking second across the line, and the second through fastest through segment there. It's going to be Loveholt out of Norway.
Good start.
There. Really good start there. 7 points there for Johnson, Clayton, Hill, Oliver Peck over there with 8 points. Interesting with Ali, he actually came through third across the line for the first across the line points, but he was the lead out man. So his speed was not even on the radar when it comes through fastest through segment. Isn't that interesting how those points work there?
That is.
Across that. Because being the third place, but 0 points for fastest through segment. So how important it is to take those segments with speed, especially when we don't see them more than once in a race.
Surprised Johannes Reckenauer isn't on this list here as we take a look at Rue.
I think KC chased down Skylab a little early and ended up kind of using a lot of matches to do so. And
Reckenauer is such a strong. It shows you the level that this league is at now, Nathan. I mean, if a guy like Reckenauer can't just have his way out there, it speaks to an impressive group, and it's even better than that. I mean, there's 30 guys out here that certainly have potential to be up in Premier if they choose. Let's go back and reset things now. This is the Peloton coming up on 9.3K in here. Next points opportunity is the Castle. So unlike the courses, Nathan, where we're doing laps out there and you get multiple chances at the fastest through segment, that's it today, isn't it? They won't be going back through there.
No, exactly. And so because of that, these fastest through segments are going to be a lot of points on grabs through here. So setting up correctly for these is going to be extremely important. Trying to take these in more of a long, drawn-out sprint from the middle of the pack, trying to time it really well in that regards to get those fastest. Because a lot of times, fastest through segment ends up coming from a strong lead out. And sacrificing maybe first across the line for those 20 points might be the smartest way to go through some of these.
Boy, that's really, talk about threading the needle, right? Being able to pick up both the first across the line, that's the FAL, and then the fastest through segment, which is a feature that we have in WTRL's ZRL for the community, and it's something that makes the racing, it just brings more people into the mix for sure. It's very, very popular with the community. It's close to 20,000 people that participate in this racing that we have around the globe. Skylab right now with 78 points. This is the season that we're looking at as we're into the 5th race of 8 before the playoffs begin, as there is a promotion for some of these teams. The top teams have a chance through that playoff system to make their way up. It's 3 teams ultimately from around the globe have a chance to be promoted. And Skylab certainly, Kirkmeyer's a team that was actually demoted from Premier League and is looking to get back into it. They have a good shot, to tell you the truth, sitting just a few points behind Skylab at BL13. So I have a feeling all 3 of those teams have the belief and ability, and if they can get a little bit of luck on their
Look
side.
at this. Look at Ali. Hang him out. Let him. Oh, man. I was racing with Rue this weekend, actually, in the KISS 100. Very vocal. Very much wanting to take the win in the KISS 100, actually, on Sunday to bring back an amazing break. All the big names were there. Leonard Tugels was there. We had most of the stars, No Pins boys. Gavin Dempster was hanging out. I think he's not racing in the ZRL as much right now because he's getting ready for Worlds. But it was definitely a who's who KISS 100. And Rue was very much like, guys, can we bring this back? This pack, let's go. And maybe he's taking a little bit of that frustration out right now on the pedals. Also, we did see him with an aero power up looking for that steamroller most likely. So why not use that extra speed to put a little pressure on the pack? And that's exactly what's happening here. I'm kind of liking what KC is doing with this setup. 1-2. Recknauer going out the front now with Hill and Ashton.
Yeah, and clearly, so it's going to be interesting. There's so many points out on the road today that it speaks to aggressive racing being the way to go. And that's exactly what we're seeing now. Good representation here, too. You start looking at what teams are up in this group.
Look at Wales.
Rio.
Giving a solid Col de la Luz here. Looks like Skylab with Hill getting involved as well. These are all the big names and teams here. WEZ starting to get involved. A little bit of a separation here. Pilkington sees that this is a threat because as you go through this section, of course, with this dirt, if you give a little bit of a dig, it makes it more difficult for the riders behind to chase that down, as it does slow the bikes down. You get more speed in comparison to watts per kilogram through there. Pilkington comes across. Nice little gap up here. This is one of those courses, David, we've seen yesterday that breakaways can survive. And you got to cover these situations pretty quickly.
Yeah, what you also see is it's really a race of attrition, too. I mean, top riders had their legs give out yesterday. It was so brutal. It's only 33K. It's the intensity today that makes things so rough. It's going to come back together. And actually, again, speaking to the depth in this Division 1, Europe, Middle East, and Africa East, Nathan, not many riders getting dropped here. That's quite impressive.
Yeah, and as you can see at the top of the leaderboard here, it is Skylab and Kirchmeier who are kind of battling it now. But BL13, I don't count them out any day. They really are one of those teams that knows how to play the tactics. Hexagon as well as Cryogen, they're going to be involved in the conversation too. And I think this is going to be one of those days. We've talked about this a lot coming into this race, the second half of the season, race number 5 now after the TTT, that a lot of the climbers, a lot of those that aren't going to be the pure sprinters are going to really look to be having their day. It's a lot of points to make up from Cryogen, to Skylab with 78. And I think Skylab, they've got a really well-rounded. They have 78 points there, partially because they have such a well-rounded team right alongside of Kirchmeier. We'll see if they're able to really shine, at all in the second half of this season, specifically here with these climbing races here. Crowdgen, I'm wondering if they're going to show up here when we do start to hit the dirt.
I could really see, Nathan, for a lot of these racers, this is a level that's absolutely perfect for them as far as, we've seen it before with teams like Riot, the women's team in America's East, where they've earned promotion. I'm even going to say maybe 3 different times, but they've turned it down because they like racing on Tuesdays with the group that they've got. Same thing here. This is such a solid group of racers. It doesn't get better than this. As there's Hexagon is a team that's coming on strong right now, and we're going to hear a lot more about them.
Yeah, that's a team that kind of came out. This is one of those newer teams that you show up and you're like, oh, who's this? What's happening with them? And next thing you know, they're putting the hurt on some of the top teams that have been around for quite a while. We do have a little bit of attack again. I think that's going to be Kirchmeier off the front. Gonna double check, and it is again gonna be Rude. This is that rider I was talking about yesterday that just really was, or not yesterday, the day before, Sunday, who was extremely vocal during the KISS 100, trying to make some breaks happen or at least bring something back. And here he goes again, 5.5 watts per kilogram right now. And maybe this is part of a plan here coming from KC to try and send somebody up the road, because I think maybe like a 3-prong of strength, right? And this is one of those prongs, and the other 2 sit in and wait for those others to chase and maybe counter. Is Recknauer, I think, is going to slow things down at the front, or brings it back to 4.426. There it is.
Yeah, I mean, this might be a bit of a trap here that they're trying to set when you talk about Kirchmeier, such an experienced team trying to get other teams to chase. They're not really taking the bait right now. As you can see, everybody going to spread out across the road. It hasn't gone full gas yet. It's going to light up here in just a moment, though, because they're still looking at enough of a gap up to Root, the Kirchmeier rider. And I'm looking for that gap here. It was 4 seconds. It's gone up to 6 seconds now. So and we're about to enter the sector of the roof, the castle. So the castle climb here. So if they don't start activating this chase, he's going to sneak off with the points. This is really tactically astute.
And this is going to be, I believe this is Nicholas Rusenlang. I like his profile. Just a random guy. Be respectful and have fun. I like this guy. This is great. He says he rides for fun and memes, pasta power, beta Zwift tester, and a bad sprinter. And that's why he's off the front most likely right now, because he's a bad sprinter.
Attacking out of the field and coming up and over the top is going to be Cryogen, Col de la Loze rider. Wales, he's on a fantastic day, and he's going to surge now as, we're fully stuck in on this next batch of points that are being served up here. Great job by Wales. He's been incredibly active here for Cryogen, making his mark here in the ZRL.
Yeah, Matthew Wales, this is another rider. I've been racing with him. I mean, again, this is funny. This almost feels like I'm racing. I'm commentating on the riders I've been hanging out with a lot over the weekend.
Basically, you are. Yeah.
It's great to see. And he's currently a top rider. Actually, he's ranked 328th in the world. So, I mean, right now it is so competitive with the race rankings. It's insane how competitive it is, because it used to be like top 100 was right around 100 points. He's at 105 points and 328th right now. That's so, just so everybody knows, I mean, it's so incredibly competitive. Really, really top racer here. He doesn't have the best kick, 12.8 watts per kilogram, 163 for 15. I mean, I shouldn't say that's pretty crazy, but amongst these boys, you're looking for something with that 14 to 15 to really be able to take it down. But he's got a solid 20, 408 watts, 5.03. I think that's what he's trying to use here. Set something up maybe for a counter for some of his teammates, or at least make the chase and put some of the other teams in the red.
And they're going to reset now as it just goes back and forth. Kirchmeier is going to take over. This is Johannes Reckenauer that we've got moving to the front. Johannes is like that horse that can smell the barn. He knows that there's some points just up the road, but he's going to have to hold on. As Hallinan here, the World Elite Zwifter rider, is just about to surge past, and he does. So taking over the lead now. Again, this is the midpoint of the race, almost exactly at the midpoint of the race. Big points on offer. Now riders are starting to get their tickets punched at the back of the group. This is a big effort being made right now by Hallinan and Reckenauer as these two lock horns on the front, but the peloton is right there. They're not giving any leash at all today, Nathan.
Hallinan here, solid 7.7 watts per kilogram, but you're right, the peloton there using that speed and roll through. He's going to have some really strong continuance over the top of this 6% gradient. They're keeping him within striking distance. They're going to come over the top here. They're almost I would say probably 600 meters or so away from those KOM points. I'm not sure he's going to be able to hang on to this as they're going to start to launch out of the pack with that rest up that they
This is where you want that steamroller.
Dragged. Yeah, and that's a good point. Great point. Are there steamrollers being used behind? It's actually going to be an arrow power up here from Begrich coming from Cryogen, trying to come across. He's going to do just that.
Well, that's an interesting. You see that arrow there from Daz Carter. Look at this from the BL13 rider Carter, but it wasn't enough because I think World Elite Zwifters is going to try to come up and over the top, and this is going to be a low volt here. Gen X rider low volt, I should say. Oh, what a battle, Nathan. This is fantastic racing here, and it's not over. That's it. Final kick to the line.
Looks like it's going to be Pilkington, maybe able to take this down one last corner. And no, it looks like it's going to be Visick, I think, just walking away with this one, actually, over the top, around the corner there. Pilkington ends up in second. And, those little corners, I think, I'm going to be super honest here.
The line.
You can't see the line because of the way that you come around each one of those corners there. The other thing with that is I do think there is a little bit of avatar interaction that goes around those corners, and sitting in the wheels correctly can kind of launch you off the front. And the reason I'm saying that is if you've ever noticed on a very tight course that has a lot of turns on it, your avatar can end up, if you do a lot of laps like on Crit City or you do a lot of laps in downtown Neokyo, and it's got a lot of little corners over and over and over again, the avatars change place, your avatar might end up with like 100 meters less than some of the other avatars out there. And you're like, what's that all about? You actually end up traveling less distance than some of them. And I think because of that, there is some ability. I wouldn't even say to travel less distance through those corners necessarily. That might be a thing. But also, I think the way that the avatar finds its placing there and then slingshots off the front, I really think it takes a lot of practice through those to find the correct way to win those outright. It's pretty amazing the gamification you have to figure out there.
Yeah, speaking of, there's a young Peter Sagan in a video that's just back on YouTube recently with, I can't even remember, Vincenzo Nibali is one of the riders that he's with going to the finish line, and he hops over a center median and shortens the course by about 30 meters, and that was the difference to win. Same kind of thing here, looking for every little advantage that you can find makes a huge difference. This is an interesting split.
Yeah, let's replace the burrito today with the center the median.
Yeah, you get to jump one median, right? It looks like a hurdle. All right, so
that's what that's going to be called from now on, Dave. Like once we get like steering, if we get steering in game, like we do have steering in game, but if we have like a steering race, we're just going to call those cutting corners median hops.
Yeah,
that's where it's at.
Go to a real life criterium. If there's not spectators in the way, racers will do some pretty amazing things to find a shorter route by 10 meters. There's old Irish rider named Alan McCormick was notorious for riding through people's yards.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. If there wasn't a fence up or spectators there, he felt like that was the course.
Reckenauer and Hulkhold here, Navarro as well. This is
really dangerous.
Dave. Yeah, and they're pulling 6 watts per kilogram on the front. This is no joke right here, and we're getting into the back end of this race.
Yeah, Temple climb is next. This is the dirt sector. It's infamous. A lot of talk, not as much talk as maybe previous season, but about bike changes being made. Nathan, did they do any of that in the community earlier today with Anna and Kate and APAC?
I don't believe so. I'm not sure that the bike chain is going to end up being. It's just too fast. It's just too fast coming up into this section. If perhaps there was if they were going the other direction.
You have to go well past Temple Climb, another 10K or so to get to the finish.
Right, so you lose 10 seconds and you lose 10 seconds. It's like, is that 20 seconds going to be worth it, right? Because you
risk it being botched.
Exactly, exactly. So you'd have to have a gap to begin with. And then, I guess the only thing I would say is right here, if Reckenauer wanted to make a quick change and all he cared about was the points at the top and didn't care about the race win, that would be a good move. Because you will win on the mountain bike from bottom to top here, or on a gravel bike if you've got better wattage. They should not be able to hang on.
if you're this good right now, I would definitely say don't do that. Keep yourself in the mix for the points at the finale. There's huge points at the finish line. So putting everything, if you're right now riding off the front, you're on a great day. This is not easy to do. And if you can do this, you should be good enough to be there for the finish today. So you know what I'm saying. I think we're both agreeing that it's just for many reasons.
It doesn't look like 10 seconds, does it? It looks
it's
shorter,
uphill on the dirt. Yeah. Well, you kind of count it off yourself and you realize that's 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit less, coming down to 9 right now. Yeah, there you go. But still, it's a lot of time in hand for this 3-rider group. And Reckenauer is going to soldier on. These guys are no longer in his draft cone, or just barely. At this speed, they're not actually getting any draft off of him.
No, I don't think so much of anything at all. Sutton here coming from Hex, he's concerned that this is going to stay away. He comes across here at this 8% gradient. Perfect time to try and do so as he makes a move here. And, look at this. You can tell perhaps Begler here getting a little bit worried that this is going to stay away and ends up using his steamroller really early here.
It looks like he's on an escalator. Once you hit that steamroller, you really do. You just start slowly moving forward a little bit quicker than the other avatars out there. That was well done. Using it through a very steep sector was the CrowdGen rider Begrich. We're back in with Navarro now of the Hexagon team. Actually, let's go see what Johannes Reckenauer is doing. Is he going to hold on here? Again, the dirt road continues past the bonus line.
Yeah, we got a little ways yet still. I mean, they're only, I would think, maybe a little over halfway up over the top here. They've got a couple more kicks here at this point. 6 seconds, 5 seconds. It's a very early move here from Reckenauer. It looks like Vermilion from WEZ is going to be able to come across, I would think. Actually, no, it's going to be Sutton from the Hexagon team. 7 watts per kilogram. Reckenauer now fading. Going to 0 watts per kilogram.
Drop out.
Says forget it here for a moment. I'm not sure what happened there with Reckenauer. Perhaps it was a dropout. Not positive. Maybe he's just going back to the group here and trusting them to drag him up. Look at this now. This is the perfect timing for that steamroller, though, as it flattens out, grabs that speed, takes it right on into the uphill now. 7% gradient, 28 kilometers per hour. Oliver Peckover trying to come across. There's another steamroller there from Peckover, it looks like, but he's got 2 seconds. Could hold on to the line.
Julien Souton is the French rider here for Hexagon. We've talked about them being the team that's come out of the woodwork this season. This is a big moment for them. You can see 30 seconds with that steamroller. This is a fun power-up that we get to see as it turns any surface that you're on into the smoothest tarmac you can find. Great effort here. Is it enough?
I don't know. I mean, you can see that pack coming on really fast here at this point. One last kick, I believe, before they make. Yep, and you can see just off in the distance, there is the KOM, and I think it's a little bit too early as Clayton comes across with his. This is it right here. This was that moment I was talking about yesterday where it's that last kick, a downhill section into the uphill. You've got about maybe 300 meters to the line here at this point. Clayton gives it a go there with that steamroller. We've got more of them coming on with Pelkington behind there. Reckenauer is still involved. 2 seconds. Enough to hang on. Perhaps here. Left-hand turn, 10% gradient. I think there's one more kick here from the peloton, to be honest.
Good. Yeah, let's see. I have a feeling Matt Clayton's got another surge in him as well. Let's watch. He's been a very impressive rider out here. But, wow, here comes the Brit, Alex Pilkington, for Kirkmeyer. Boy, this is just turning into a Donnybrook out here. There's another, it's Fader there with the steamroller. Let's see if that's the difference maker, Nathan. Holy cow, this is going to be close. There's the arch.
Drag race to the line. Pilkington's got 10 watts per kilogram. It's going to be KC. First one across the line, followed up by Clayton. Then it's going to be Thayer there from Innovation. Oliver Peckover. Jay Hill there from Skylab. So Skylab taking down a lot of points there. All of them in that top 5. As Vixic and then Reckenauer comes on through. It looks like around 7th place after all that early work. The 2 KC riders end up fading back outside of that top 5.
Wow. And I'm interested to see, Nathan, how much damage this has done as we move into the finale, the last act of this race. I mean, there's just bodies all over the course right now. Let's see what kind of a group gets organized at the front. The numbers game looking good for Skylab and Kirkmeyer. Those are the two teams that seem to have the best representation right now at the front.
Yeah, we'll see how these points played out. Pilkington's now, we saw this yesterday in the women's race as well as the men's race where there was a couple of riders off the front. Things were completely blown apart. This is not something you usually see in Zwift racing, and it's a big kudos to this course, that's for sure, where, it's a lot of comments that come through, want to see more breakaways. It makes things more exciting in the racing, and this course has not disappointed. I mean, look at this, 18 seconds back to 2 riders here. Then we've got Johnson here, all solo at this point. Hellnonen. Where's the main peloton? There is no main peloton. We've just got scattered grenade all over the course at this point. Shrapnel trying to pick itself up and find a group to get back in with.
Yeah, you're going to see it looks like possibly these two groups merging together. But, yeah, going back to your point, Nathan, this is racing at its very best. At the top of the show, I was talking about how it really is just like in real life. And it has just turned into some fantastic, exciting racing. And there's another attack being made out of this group. It just goes back and forth, right and left. It's another effort from Cryogenis. I think they're feeling a little bit caught out right now with Skylab and Kirkmeyer having great representation on the front here. Inside of 10K, it's really right around 33 kilometers on the total distance for the race here today. And you can see they've just gone 24.3 in the rearview mirror now.
This is exactly what we saw yesterday in the men's race as well, and the women's race, where there was this smaller peloton, smaller group that got formed at the front with enough riders. But you did see this same thing where there were like 3 of the elites right that were kind of up front. And then this straggling group that had to get back together with it. Whether or not they work together is going to be the question, though. With 25 seconds now at this point, do they try and hang on? It is more than doable, and that is a lot of free points up for grabs without having to sprint against anybody who might be getting dragged up from that bigger peloton behind.
The team that really is getting put behind the 8 ball right now is BL13. They have no representation in this group, and they're one of the top 3 teams in this division. So I have a feeling that they're going to be right now feeling some pressure here. The Alfie is absolutely amazing. Pilkington, I'm talking about, and he's the first non-Germanic. He's not Austrian or German or Swiss. He's on the UK flag flying there for our man. He's having a great day today. Skylab's got 3 up in this group here. Matt Clayton certainly making his name, putting it in lights up on the billboard. Great job is this group. I think this separation, Nathan, will remain established. There'll be attacks out of this group into the finale, but these guys will not be having any company showing up banging on the back door, I wouldn't think.
I think KC and Skylab need to start working together. Oh, look at this. Reckonour gives a little bit of a go. And as you can see here, Skylab immediately responds to that. And it looks like they're not messing around. Trying to get a 2v1 situation out the front. Reckonour might be setting himself up actually for a 3rd place today or a 2nd place because these two might be able to work him over later on in this race. Beckover says, forget it. I'm not chasing. You're going to have to go get my boys. Sutton says, okay, fine. Over the top there. Quick little 11 watt per kilogram kick. 64 kilometers per hour. These speeds are so crazy high, and you can end up with gaps so quickly at these kinds of speeds. Now, what is going on behind is going to be my question. Fair here, unable to hang on for a moment, trying to get that super tuck at 66 kilometers per hour, though. They're walking away from him. He's lost the wheel. That's how quickly he can be over on Zwift racing here on downhill speeds.
I think that's one of the big differences between esports and in real life is that you can lose control of things much more quickly in esports. It's harder to fight back once you make that little mistake, Nathan, and that's what we're seeing right now. What a battle this is. So I have a feeling if you're Kirkmeyer, you're feeling pretty good about things. Although, yeah, same thing for Skylab to tell you the truth.
3v3, Dave. I mean, this is going to be interesting. And then you've got that situation you always talk about here with Hexagon, where they might all fight over that bone and end up taking each other out. He might be able to just take the scraps from the table at the end.
Yeah, but ultimately, and I agree, Nathan. But the funny, and he's super strong talking about Julien Souton there in the blue and black kit for Hexagon. But this is a team sport, right? So ultimately, both Skylab and Kirkmeyer, they really don't need to worry about him. He's an outlier in this group because the points now, it's between these two teams when you look at the big
when it
win
comes to
here
team
today.
points. Yeah, good point. Yeah, when it comes to team points, I mean, even if he takes the win out here today, it
doesn't matter. Yeah. I mean, it does matter.
Between those two teams, it'll matter. But outside of that, they still are going to be very happy with the situation. Now, the question here that I'm talking about, at 59 kilometers per hour and bringing it down under 20 seconds, WEZ making their way to the front. I think they're concerned about this. And Helonen here now rolling through 17 seconds.
Okay, so
they're bringing it down second by second here. They're not messing around here with this pack. And I think WEZ, who else is here? Gen X. Who's not involved? Cryogens in here. They're going to want to bring this back. So, BL13, exactly.
Go take a look at the season point total. This is a huge opportunity for World Elite Zwifters because they're going to, BL13 is definitely not on a great day today. They've only got one rider in that chase group as far as I can tell. So when you look at like World Elite Zwifters at 53 points and Hexagon has a decent chance to move up into the top three today. Cryogen, Col de la Loze, or Hexagon will end up being the third place team after today.
The rotations are coming through now, Dave. They saw the danger for a moment there. They opened it up 4 seconds again because it came down to 15 for a moment. And now it looks like Skylab and Kirchmeier, they've gotten a little bit more organized and said, no, this is not coming back. We got to keep this off the front. 20 seconds now. I saw a little chink in the armor for a moment there, but I think at this point, as it flattens out and they're going to hit that uphill grind, I think they're going to battle it out enough that there's not going to be a lot of looking at each other. I don't think they're going to play too many games. And even if they do, with this amount of a gap, I don't think it's going to matter.
These are the strongest riders in the race. They've only got 4K to go. Everything is on the line. I give them a 99-1 chance of staying away. There's almost no scenario I can imagine where these guys get caught by the chase group. What's going to really be interesting is will we see an attack and do they look at each other? And I would play those cards if I'm Julien, the French rider here. I think it makes all the sense in the world to try to go for the big 50 points at the finish line and catch Kirchmeier and Skylab possibly playing a bit of a tactical game.
How is Julien on his sprint is going to be my question compared to some of these other riders that are in and amongst the group here. Give us an idea.
So Julien, when you look at where he's at for his power,
he is definitely
not a sprinter.
Yeah, against these boys, I think
his numbers are not
try and break. I mean, not even close to the rest of these boys, to be honest. And so he's going to have to try and make a move, unless he's been hiding something. Unless he just hasn't been in a sprint situation in a while. I am seeing the Team Vegan Tofu Tornado XL race that he did with a 13.3. So that's not his usual, though. So we'll see. Perhaps he just hasn't been involved in enough races with sprints at the end because he actually only has results going back to March of 2020. Well, he's got plenty of results here, but not like it's not like he's doing a ton of Zwift racing. So he's kind of newer, it looks like, to the scene when it comes to organized Zwift racing.
What an interesting setup here. 3, 3, and 1. You don't see this mix very often, right? Like a full house in poker or something. Just very interesting. So now you wonder, how are they going to play their cards? One thing we know is Johannes Reckenauer will be aggressive here as they go into the finale.
Look at Freyr. He had a dropout. Poor guy coming from Innovation here. All solo land here, being chased down by this huge pack in the distance, 10 seconds back, and they're going to sprint for big points. They go all the way. I mean, there's massive amount of points still out to 30. So tough day for him trying to hold this off. Reckenauer goes early, though. Here it is. Skylam looking to cover, and it's going to be Sutton who's going to have to go across. Julien, this is it.
Well, all right. We've now we're seeing the first clash of swords here. So early, though, folks. So this is like watching the bishops and the rooks being moved around on the chessboard because there's still a lot of horsepower here. And look at this effort now from Matt Clayton. Matt Clayton has gone nuclear now, but I don't think it's enough, Nathan. These guys are playing with him. They're going to let Clayton burn out his rocket as they hit the dirt sector here. What a finale we're going to witness today.
Is that Reckoner to the back now at this point? Maybe just resting up and trying to grab that draft a little bit as he allows his teammate to go off the front. It's going to be Visick here now with a little bit of a kick coming out of the Netherlands. 175 beats per minute. There is a good counter. 48 kilometers per hour. Pilkington dropping to 2.7 says, I'm not Jason. That's my teammate up the road now. Oliver Peck over here going to just watch it. That's interesting now. Is this going to stick? No, he backs off. Maybe he just didn't have the juice for it here. As Peckover sets a solid tempo at the front. Looks like it's going to be a reset fully now, Dave, to look for a heads-up sprint.
These are the jabs, the ducking and the dodging in a prize fight here, but no one has been taking any major blows. Everybody has still got their head up. All right, well, here we go. This is the finale. Basically, at
real
1K
quickly, just heading to the
go.
back here. We do have some attacks taking place back here, but they're not going to be involved at all. Very short lead in here at this point, as they did shorten up where the finish line was just a tad by about 300 meters or so. So it's out in the open. So we're going to see these boys open up real quickly here, about 500, a little more.
It's going to be a straight up sprint. This is going to be a straight up sprint here. It looks like everybody's going to be contesting. We've seen 3 different attacks, counters, and a counter over the top of that. Nothing stuck, and at this point now, nobody wants to play those cards. This would be a good time for Julian to go. But it's probably just not there. He knows what he's got in the tank. And right now, who's got a tiger in the tank? It looks like Ollie Peckover does, as he's going to play his cards first. Skylab going to make a run at it. This is timed very well, to tell you the truth. Ollie Peckover is not coming back, in my estimation. You're going to see the finish line coming up very, very quickly here. This is going to be a close one, Nathan. I'll let you bring him on home.
Peckover, I think, able to take that one down, followed up by Sutton. We actually don't have the banner in game is a virtual banner, but Peckover able to take that one down. As you can see up ahead there, makes it a little difficult on the broadcast. Apologies on that, everybody. Peckover just walked away. Finished. Yeah, this is the course. That's a course marker for where the course finishes, but it's not the official finish line for the race itself. We'll have to get some new updates on that one. So apologies on that, everybody. The ladies have just taken off. We'll jump on over to their race as they literally just went out on course. We'll get some results in here in just a moment. And but as the ladies get out on course, we are in with the Central. And we'll get you guys an idea of where the standings are for them. Ollie Peckover, though, what a kick there. And kind of just walked away with it. To be honest, I mean, there wasn't really even too much of a challenge as he just kicked it up with that arrow power up, and it was said and done.
Yeah, I mean, it basically was who's the best sprinter, and Ollie said, I am.
Yeah, pretty much. The arrow power up was well timed, and nobody was able to hold on to his draft. He got that distance immediately, and it goes to show how important that can be if you time it correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Boy, it really is fun to see how the power-ups affect the game, and a little bit of luck, just like in real-life racing, goes a long, long way. So here the strong women's group heading out. We're going to move over now to our Europe, Middle East, and Africa Central Division 1 Women's A's. If you're following along on your own scorecard out there, this is the Socks for Watts group. Rachel Elliott racing today with Louise Robinson.
The last time we saw Rachel out here, was that when she walked away on the
Nyokyo
course? Yeah, the all-nighter course.
20-second breakaway, solo break that stuck.
I don't think we've seen her
that
since
was the
then.
statement
so
race.
Good to see her jumping back into the crew here.
Yeah, send our condolences.
They've got a little bit. They have a little bit of work to do. It looks like at 71 points. tied with SZ Sin here right now. And then we do have the Zed Sun Rays and Canyon Esports Beta Women team there. BBB Racing are in here at 61. Gen ZE Racing Ladies 57. Team NL Ladies there, followed up by Ray Vaughn at 55. And Zebro Arwin at 45. And Coalition Synergy also at 45 points. Conversation today, will we have any breakthrough rides? I'd be watching out for a bottom to top climb, walk away from Rachel Elliott, and anybody looking to try and follow her up.
Yeah, she's such a legend, no doubt about it. Let's talk quickly about the course that they're on. If you just saw the men's race earlier, it's the same exact deal here. 33K. Finish line is a little bit sneaky, so be aware of that. It's 300 meters before that blue arch that you saw. We're not doing laps today, so you don't get a chance to look at that multiple times. We don't get a run-in before the finale. It's really 3 different features today, the rooftop, the castle, and the temple, as points available at each one of those spots. And then we've got our fastest through segment, the FTS, that WTRL has made such a fun part of the racing out here. And we're not that far off from entering that, really the first time we're contesting for points here.
Yeah, about to get into it here. Now, we don't want to jump the gun too much in that first race. Jumped it a little bit as this climb starts super early. It's a lot longer. You know, the actual KOM.
There's a little kicker before
section, right. It's not, the time section starts a little bit later into when you actually start going uphill, right, Dave? So you start.
Well, right. Uphill. There's a 4% grade that you're on before you even enter the time segment, or what you'd call the K or QOM proper. So it's actually not a bad place to launch a little cheeky attack if you're feeling like you've got great legs.
You feel like you can out dance the rest of the peloton with that power. It is not a bad place to go from bottom to top. Some of those riders that might just feel like they want to put the pressure on and can ride above and not risk anything when it comes to a kick to the line. That would be perhaps a move from somebody like a Rachel Elliott. But I have a feeling she's going to be saving a lot of matches for later on in the race. As the legs get tired, she's going to want to try and, I think, have a breakaway for both. You know, you've got a lot on offer at the end of this race with the Queen of the Mountain over the top of the dirt climb, followed up to the maybe roll into the finish line solo. That's a lot of points up for offer. Well,
and you know who's going to love this opportunity? Sammy Stewart, the Canyon rider. Actually, that team's got a tremendous amount of talent on it. And Agata Fleece is the Polish rider that's been very impressive. Hanna Johansson also on Canyon. Kimberly Redman, out of New Zealand. Noosh Greenaway. Siri Hildenen, also the Norwegian rider.
Today, really?
Yeah, taking the start today. At least I have her on my start list. I haven't seen her name yet, but I bet you we will. But certainly for, I would think a rider like Sammy Stewart is going to relish the opportunity to race with someone like Rachel Elliott out here.
Going to be getting into our climb proper here in just a moment. Kelly makes her way to the front here from Zed Sun. Zed Sun currently in that second place, 74 points. They're definitely looking to try and put some pressure on the Canyon Esports Beta team. They've got a lot of depth there with that team. Having Siri Hildonen actually on that team is going to have a lot of Zwift experience. She was on the original Canyon Esports team way back. She's made her way to some of the live events. So Siri, definitely one to watch out for when it comes to great leadership, and most likely why they've been so successful when it comes to holding that top spot at this point. I would fully expect that Discord channel has some great leadership in there with Hildonen. Kelly now Zed Sun, though, trying to put the pressure on, it looks like. Not sure Zed Sun's going to make anything happen this early. Maybe just trying to set up, though, for the rest of the team as we make our way winding around these towers over and over again until we hit this first point.
Yeah, you called it an intestine, and that's really accurate. It just seems like it goes on forever. The sprint line proper is just after 5K, if I remember correctly here. So they've got quite a while to go here. It's easy to play your cards too early out here, but look at Canyon all over the front right now.
Yeah, Beta with Johansson now. Kelly still, she's just, I think her orders are go to the front and make it hard. Look at the back of the pack here. She's just continued on with this.
Done and done.
We've already got a split happening at the back, and she just continues. But Rachel Elliott says, okay, my turn. I'm going to throw down 7 watts per kilogram, get a gap, and this is going to put the alarm bells, Dave, as Elliott hit. I thought maybe she'd save it for later on in the race, but no, she says, I'm going for all the points today. Socks to watts on the table.
It'd be interesting to see if Rachel Elliott could collect maximum bonification throughout this race. It looks like that's not going to be a question, though.
Says no.
Sammy Stewart, she's a beast, no doubt about it. We love seeing a rider coming on so strong. And I don't know that we have anybody in the community that's made a mark as much as Sammy Stewart has out here. And she even takes on the legendary Rachel Elliott. Now, we got a little bit further to go, but I think Stewart is proving herself to be Rookie of the Year coming out of the community.
Look at this, 8 watts per kilogram now. Orange numbers popping.
Woo!
Easy gap. Puts her hands in the air even. Can rest over the top. You cannot hear. Also from Beta. Canyon showing up. Angstrom from SZ, it looks like, through for a second. Zed's son here. Fleece then the next. Beta just took down, it looked like 3 to 4 out of that top 7. What a move there coming from the Canyon Beta team. Everybody else kind of just fighting for scraps here.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what Canyon right now already has 2 teams up in Premier League, so I don't think they'll get a third. So I don't know what they're going to do with this embarrassment of riches there with the Canyon program. It's really quite incredible what we're seeing. Jokingly, I called Sammy Stewart a monster last week in our broadcast, and she responded to that on socials, Nathan. I don't take that back. She's incredible. I mean, this is the Zoe Langham or the Maud LaRue that we're looking at. And this is the group, Nathan. So I don't know if you saw this, but Maud LaRue, who was racing with these women last year, was just accepted into the UCI Cycling Academy. She's going to be racing in Switzerland this year as she's part of a developing nations program coming from South Africa. It's a big, big deal for her and South African cycling for this opportunity.
Look at what's happened here because of those attacks, Dave. Rave on the back foot. Team NL ladies. Greenway back here from Team SC. Is Backy's off the back. I mean, this early in the race, we've got completely blown apart over the first climb. How many ladies are off the front here? 11, 12, 15. 15. Who's all represented is going to be the next question. BBB is here. We've got Canyon. We've got Team... is that going to be Team NL ladies are here as well in the orange?
Zed's son with 2
and
or 3.
Saxa Watts
3.
only represented by 8. Rachel Elliott, she's going to have to carry the whole team on her shoulders today if she ends up being the only one in this league group.
So Rachel Elliott just self-destructed her own team.
Whew. Charlotte Backus, yeah. I like the encouragement there coming through from Backus, even though she's off the back here. Charlotte Backus here with a little bit of encouragement to all the rest of the ladies. I wonder if she's in with the main group. It looks like there's another chase group.
She's
there's
in.
3 chase groups actually here.
She's trying to encourage the other ladies in this group to keep chasing back, and it looks like they're going to rejoin. And if they do, that changes things dramatically. It's really going to be Zed's son that sees their numbers double. I only see 1 Socks for Walks rider in this second group. Yeah, I only see 1 there. So looks like these 2 groups are going to merge together. Wow, what a crazy start. We're only 7.6K in.
Yeah, and already we're talking top 30. Rachel Elliott's talking about working together, as I think Allie Cameron from BBB was giving a little bit of conversations there. It is a 9-second gap still. It has been going out continually. It looks like there's a little bit of different communication coming from each one of the groups here at this point. You know, the up front, they're like, let's work together and keep this gap growing, which I think is going to happen. You've got enough talent here that wants to work together, and I have a feeling they're going to hold off that group that's on the chase. As it continues to go out here at 3.6 on the front, I'm not sure that they can chase this down. And Greenway with Beta here, I think, is actually not pulling necessarily a solid effort. Well, there's up to 4.9, but I just don't think that they can match the talent that's up front there with that 15 riders that made their way over the top. Cream of the crop definitely rises to the top here in this Temples and Towers race. Men's race is about to take off also out of Central. We'll be jumping on over to them in just a moment. They are 2:53 out from the start of their race. So we'll be going back and forth between the two as we go. I do want to, as things calm down here a little bit in this women's race, let's go ahead and take a look at how things played out in that men's Middle East Division 1 mixed. This is where it was at. Oliver Peckover, as we saw him come across at that 44.48, 4.5 watt per kilogram average. Their Skylab take it down with Alfie Pilkington there from Kirchmer E-Racing Team Men in second. Hexagon, Julian with a solid sprint still, Dave. We talked about him maybe not being able to but he held his own against some of the best.
It almost makes me wonder that maybe he hasn't contested that many sprints. I bet you that number went up. To tell you the truth, to finish third out of that group, it must have been over 10 watts per kilo. Robert Visic was very active today, ending up in fourth. Matt Clayton, who might get our most aggressive rider of the day award, in fifth. It's Joe Hill, sixth. They're both on Skylab. Johannes Reckenauer, another rider who put his name up in lights today, with Kirkmeyer team in seventh. It's Kirill Krasovin in eighth. Nice to see some Russians racing with us. Fedor Diasov, who was an early animator today for Skylab in ninth, and then Pais Christian, World Elite Zwifters in 10th.
That was the men's Middle East Division 1A for the mixed men's. Nice job to all the racers out there. Again, for more results for the Middle East Division 1, head on over to WTRL.racing. We are in with the ladies for the Central. And this is EMEA Central Division 1A, and there are the points. Canyon. There it is. Stewart, Buchanan, and Fleece all across the line first. SZ, who are in second place right now with Engstrom, come on through for that fourth place there.
Boy. Yeah, so as we make our way into, it's now the fifth season. We call it season 2, but there was a 3-block season. It's almost like the Star Wars movies, right? We go in blocks of 3 with the seasons, and we're well into season 2 of the second block. Canyon now has got so many reinforcements, but the team that's really taken over on the women's side of things has been Wahoo LaColle. So this, again, speaks to the depth, the amount of talent that we've got out there. And, I mean, the fact that Rachel Elliott, and to be fair, Rachel has had this last month, she just lost her father. And I know that she probably, training and life has been a lot lately. So Rachel Elliott, not that she needs any kind of anyone cutting her slack, but I'm going to guess that she's had a lot going on. And this probably isn't the Rachel Elliott at 100% that we've seen and will see again for sure. So right now, Canyon just showing a real strength across the board on that team. And that's how it works in the ZRL. This is a team-based league. And right now, they just are exceptional. Looks like we've got another start taking place here as well. There's a big group of men heading out.
Men's Central. I see a mountain bike. I actually see a mountain bike. WLC. Budge, I believe. I don't know if this is just on client side, but he is most definitely, I believe, on an S-Works here. I'll have to double check if that's an S-Works or not. No, it's a Canyon. He's on the Canyon. MTB.
Either way. Yeah.
We'll see how this works out.
So what you're saying, though, for folks that aren't super savvy here, is it's possible that when he was in the pen, he changed his
swapped bikes. Yeah, it's possible.
And we don't see that.
And we don't see that on the client side because I jump into the pen so early. So we can actually check. I'm going to actually check. I'm going to look for Budge on the companion app because you can actually check on the companion app, and we'll see because. If this is a brave move. If he makes it to the line to the dirt section with this bike, I would be blown away. First of all, after the climbs, but second of all, if he's got any energy left, that is going to be a pretty big advantage.
Yeah, but wouldn't he have burnt a ton more calories to get to that point on?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you there. 100%. I mean, he's going to be struggling a little bit at that point.
So it's like you've got a better bike, but everybody else
we could be having a whole conversation about something that's like not even happening though. Like I got to figure out if he's actually on this thing.
And to be fair, if it made any sense to do that, you'd see more than one person out of 20,000 doing it.
So, will budge. I have to wait for my companion app to update here.
So these guys just getting into it. They've got 33 kilometers of racing ahead of them. Same thing. The women are a good bit ahead of them, making their way into the middle part. They've gone past the rooftop climb and are on the castle climb. Temple comes up after that, and that's the sector that we're talking about where a mountain bike would be a big help. There's a long dirt road that you're on through that, really 2/3 of the way into the race here.
Ladies,
this is the rider that.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So Budge is the rider that Nathan was investigating the bike choice with there.
Yeah, still waiting for my companion app to update here. We'll see if it gives me any live data to let me know what is going on.
On the women's side, it looks like those two groups did merge back together on the women's side, so one big peloton. But there's been some damage done here along the way as they're now starting to come into what's going to be another intense 5 minutes of racing. Well, the whole race is intense, but another panic station moment coming up pretty quickly here.
As the men do start to head on over toward that railway, this is going to be the initial climbs. And let's go ahead and have a real quick conversation about where things stand in this men's central. So we'll be doing side-by-side coverage between these two races. And the men's central EMEA Division 1. Not very surprised to see who's at the top there, as they have been out of all the teams this 2021-22 season 2, the team that is just, when you want to talk about the breakout all-star GOAT team of the season, it's Wahoo Lacole, it seems like. We still have one more Premier Division. We've got 3 more weeks of community. But I don't even know at this point if you can. There would have to be some sort of cataclysmic effect of a team to say something other than Wahoo Lacole has been the team of this season.
Men and women, 100%. For that matter.
Yeah. You almost saw it coming. You almost saw it coming, right, Dave? Like there was this buildup with them that you could tell they were showing up, they were getting points, they were dominating,
recruiting riders.
All of a sudden, it was like a lot of hype around them. They got some teams in Premier Division, and then that almost kind of created this in the community churn or excitement around the team, which then I think got them the attention to say, I want to be a part of this, and it just begot more and more talent, it seems.
It doesn't hurt having riders like Teppo Lorio, who has so much personality, and it almost becomes like one of those, he's the cult of personality. And then you start getting that momentum, and people just want to be a part of something cool. And Wahoo Lacole is something cool, no doubt. You know who else I'd give credit to, Nathan, on both the men's and women's side? And I think that's we're going to go into another very intense moment here for the guys. But Sarah Snowpins also has done a really good job on both sides of the sport.
100% Sarah Snowpins. And I really like, if you don't follow them on social media, they do such a great job with their posts to kind of really highlight what happens throughout the races. Yesterday, one of my favorite posts I've actually seen, and the thing, I was talking to a couple of racers that they were explaining that until they got into the Zwift racing and they were actually doing it, they didn't really know what was happening, but within a lot of the races, a lot of times, and it really made them more attracted to the broadcast. They're like, oh, I get this, and I see what's happening here. And because of my experience in TTTs, watching Sarah Snowpins win last week in that TTT and that post that they did with it yesterday, if you haven't checked it out, it was really cool because you could hear the DS alongside of the racers and their excitement around what was actually going down. And they paired it with your commentary, actually, yours and Matt's commentary. It was actually a really great moment to show how much camaraderie and celebration that there is around a team that takes a win like that. But yeah, Sarah Snowpin's definitely another one to watch out for there. Now, let's talk about these points, though, Dave. Hexagon is a team that we've kind of they may be a new Wahoo Lacole. They're showing up here at the second place behind one of the top teams right now in Central, which is one of the most competitive in the world. They're only 1 point behind.
Actually, that's a great point. So you realize how on the timeline of things, it was only a year ago we'd never heard of Next Next, presented by Insured. And now, I mean, is Hexagon the next team that's going to rise up? And it is that rise that we're talking about that's so exciting. Let's take a look here at the guys. It looks like a bit of a counterattack here, Nathan.
Yeah,
it's very active on the front.
Look at this. WSC here with Co. making a little bit of a kick to the line here. It's going to be GFTBE, though. Lots of those yellow jerseys trying to make their move. SCI coming on through. It's going to be around the corner. Who's going to take it down? It looks like it's going to be straight from SRT. We've got a lot of yellow jerseys in there. We'll get the points up in just a moment. I think GFTBE were the ones that were able to get the lion's share of the points, but SRT across the line first. It looked like maybe fastest through segment, which is a lot of points if they got fastest through segment and first across the line, because that timing looked perfect, actually, Dave, when it comes to coming from behind through the pack and getting the most amount of speed, shortest time, and then first across the line. Maybe perfect timing there from that SRT rider. I got to get the name on that, though.
I like the use of the burrito out here, Nathan. If you're going to use it, this is the time, right? Try to force a little gap to open up and put some pressure on another team or rider.
Yeah, that's because of this section of course and the way that the speeds are coming on through. It is definitely a great section of course.
Seems like it could put
that burrito.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously it's a bit of a bummer move to do to somebody, but you put them in trouble there for a bit. Burrito is 10 seconds of the draft removed from your wheel, so it's a 2.5 meter radius, which is 10 feet.
I couldn't have been more wrong, Dave. Trek got first across the line, but he didn't grab any points for fastest through segment.
Huh.
None.
I'm surprised, too.
Wow. So Bayan actually.
Well, it shows you it's really hard to do to get that first across the line and FTS. As I said earlier, it's like threading a needle with your heart rate at 180 beats per minute. It's tricky.
Ladies are getting into their halfway up their KOM here, Queen of the Mountain, excuse me, when it comes to the tempo climb. Greenway from Beta here, they did meet up a little bit, but now is that going to be, we missed an attack off the front. Let's jump on over there real quickly because I believe we've got a main pack up front here. Rachel Elliott, of course, doing what she does, pressing the pedals. Fleece there from Beta, looking to cover it, it looks like. Van Boven, Stewart from Beta as well, coming across. Kelly has always been involved from that Zed-Sun team. UKenna there. Those are the three big names. Stewart, Fleece, as well as, let's see here, who else is in there from UKenna?
Look at Stewart using
so those are the three.
As Stewart goes by Elliott, she uses her burrito or tries to. That's some solid gameplay there. Sammy Stewart knows what she's doing.
That was kind of a smack in the face.
She's certainly a tactician.
That was come right on by and just throw the burrito in the face there. Sammy Stewart's with the attitude. What a move there from Stewart.
That's my kind of racer right there, going up against the legend. That's like throwing a burrito at Mariana Vos, right?
She just threw an elbow around the corner. Elbows out, take the inside line, and even that was even like throw the back end of the bike out a little bit, too.
This is a legend. I'm telling you. I'm a huge Sammy Stewart fan. I know she's going places, no doubt about it. It's going to be fun to watch what she can do in esports, no doubt. These are the riders that are responding right now to the aggression going on in the front. That blue jersey is going to be Rachel Elliott. Rachel's such a fighter, so much heart. I think the OG, one of the greatest stories that Zwift is ever going to have is that woman right there in blue, Rachel Elliott.
Man, what a this is
there's always a new Sammy Stewart, right?
Yeah. This is a split here, though, Dave. This split, 4 seconds now. Oh, man, even having to use your steamroller at this point just to get back on, and it might not even happen. The BBB team here. Fleece actually off the back. That is not to be expected. This was one of the riders that you really would expect to be involved still. 192 beats per minute tells you the kind of pressure her teammate Sammy put on the front there. Might be biting them a little bit here at this point. 5 seconds up, but UKenna is still here. Stewart now maybe struggling on the back. This is a moment here where Rachel says, okay, you're going to throw me a burrito. I got 5.3 over the top of this little bit kicker afterwards, I'm going to walk away from everybody.
Rachel Elliott's like, well, here's a tostada then, because I'm on it. No doubt about it. Rachel Elliott there shows you the depth. And to be honest, her mindset, right, is she's a fighter. Always has been, always will be. Just a perennial force to be contended with. And Rachel Elliott back on the attack. They've come after her. But if you come after the queen, you better not miss. Because if you do, you get this.
Exactly. And, it's the firecracker, the quick flame there over the top here, but now we've got the slow cooker all day long off the front. And I have a feeling she is committed here, Dave, to go 5+ all the way through. And you've lit a fire. You throw that burrito in her face, and she's like, no. It's time to go all in.
She will
dinner
slap
time.
that burrito down. Yes. And, I mean, so to be fair, Rachel Elliott, Nathan, if you want to talk, we have a second here. If you want to talk about the person that is Rachel Elliott, she's a dear soul, right? I mean, Rachel Elliott is a sweet human being, but man, you put her into an esports bike race and she's all heart. And Legally Blind has been looking to represent the United Kingdom in paracycling events, has been with Zwift since it all began, and has truly never really missed a step. She suffered a stroke a few years ago, and her comeback has been nothing short of inspirational. And I know we have a lot of inspirational folks out here, but Rachel Elliott is at the top of my list, Nathan. Always has been, always will be.
6.3 continues on. Stewart on the front here at 3.0, 40 kilometers per hour. Rachel at 41. That's the numbers we really got to look at here is what's the speed differentiation. Now, she was able to gain 5 seconds. There's a very early steamroller coming from her through the fastest section. That might be a very smart move, Dave. Because she's carrying the speed.
Yeah.
She carried the speed. No slowdown. Carried it right on through. Immediately gains 5 seconds almost on the pack.
So listen, I mean, it's you're trying to get as much of advantage as you can. Where do you maximize the benefit of the steamroller? When you're going the fastest. She's turning this section of dirt into smooth tarmac, and she just did it for 30 seconds. And there that gap, Nathan, has gone out to 10 seconds.
10 seconds, Rachel Elliott now bound to 9, though. They see the threat. Van Boven now with her own steamroller, and this might end up being a very elite group in just a moment because they can see the damage. They know this is most likely not coming back from any attacks. I think they have a feeling that there isn't the firepower in the pack to go to come as a group. We've got to go solo. You want to be involved, you got to take it for yourself at this point.
Yeah, this is exactly what I thought this course would do, just blow up these fields. And right now it's mano a mano out here. Every rider for themselves. It's Van Boven in full pursuit mode, and she's the closest here. Well, Elliott's still sitting 7 seconds up, but look at the damage that's been done. What a race.
19 seconds back to Engstrom. Kelly, 16 seconds back there. 2 riders there solo at this point, trying to chase back. Let's just if we take some inventory rider by rider at this point.
Where's Sammy
7
Stewart?
seconds here, right? Van Boven solo on the chase. Vajanopa here. Now, also, great to see the Gen Z rider here now as she looks to try and come across. Currently sitting in third, dragging Van Zielst across there from the Netherlands. And then it's going to be Meert here with 2 riders. Derek Kelly from Zedson. Engstrom solo here back in 7th place. Denman. There's not even a group anymore, Dave. It's completely shattered. This has been blown up from the start of this climb.
This looks like the Tour de France in 1922. I mean, absolutely incredible.
100 years.
There is.
Did you do that one on purpose, Dave? That was some nice math.
So this is, to be honest, a racer's race right now as every woman is in their own world of hurt. This is Denman that we're with, the Zedson rider. What a fantastic trip. So I was wondering, would Rachel Elliott take it to him out here today, Nathan, and go really from early and try to make an impressive statement breakaway? She's doing exactly that. Can she hold on to the finish?
I think so. The way that this is blown apart and the way that she's made this move to cause the rest, very tactical too. She has caused the rest of the pack to have to chase from so early on that it's blown things apart back at the back.
And there is no pack. Right.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the benefit for Rachel. There's no organized effort. It's every woman. So it's one-on-one with everybody out there, exactly the way Rachel wants it. She's at no disadvantage to a chasing peloton.
And exactly, There's no disadvantage to being off the front at this point whatsoever. She will now. It's just hold it to the line, and that's the cool thing about a rider like Rachel Elliott. The amount of confidence that she has in her TTing ability is exactly why she did what she did. And this has got to be the story. This has got to be our video highlight. Really, I mean, and all the shout out to Kenna and Stewart. I mean, they had a lot of points. Amazing race here so far. But this is what we were talking about. These riders from Beta have been shining in our sprinters races, are a little bit more, just send it moments throughout the races when it comes to shorter efforts here. Amazing job so far. But now a rider like Rachel, it's her turn to shine, and she is doing exactly that. And we said she's going to have to carry the race on her shoulders for Socks for Watts. She's going to grab the Queen of the Mountain and most likely the first place for the entire day and probably carry the race away for this team.
And temple points. So Sammy Stewart shows that she's a spark plug and is definitely a rider for the future, but this is just pure talent and ability that we're looking at now, and experience, Nathan. I mean, you make a really good point there. Rachel Elliott, I mean, if you want to talk about someone who's possibly in the top 50 of all time Zwifters, as far as distance on Zwift. Actually, she's obviously a level 50 Zwifter, but she's been going since back in the early days with you. And I have to think that she's put more kilometers on this bike, knows these courses, knows exactly what her body is capable of, and knows this platform as well as anyone on planet Earth.
100%, 10% gradient. This is the last little kick before she will see. She does see it actually as she crests here. You see off to the left. Hey, our little buddy. He's there.
That wolf. That dog.
What is that guy?
Oh, the frog?
The Kappa. He's right there. We found the Kappa again. He's off in the distance. You can see him off in the distance over there. I just saw the Kappa. I'm not kidding. The Kappa is there. He is there.
Oh,
it's cousin Rachel. Rachel made the Kappa show up. She threw down enough watts that it unlocked the Kappa bounce there across the river. I literally saw him. We're gonna have to get it. I'm not playing. There he is, right there. There's the Kappa.
He jumped.
She's unlocked the demon. She unlocked the little magical. Literally, it is a demon. For those that don't know,
we haven't seen the Kappa for at least 6 months. I'd say
we haven't. No. Well, it was October. Yeah. I think October, right? So yeah, it would be about 3 or 4 months. So I love it.
Well, thank you, Rachel. This is going to be Van Boben chasing it now. But yeah, I mean, at this point now. 21 seconds for Rachel Elliott. It's a command performance from Rachel here today. Similar. This might even be more impressive than what we saw in Neokyo.
I think so. I mean, she's really walking away with it at this point here. 21 seconds. Van Boven might be able to put some work in, but that's a lot of distance to make up. We'll see what she can pull off here as they come through the line. Once in a while, the Kappa, somebody actually sent me a little screenshot that he hangs out here. I'm not sure he or she hangs out right here too, like by that wolf once in a while, and like watches over the Queen of the Mountain, King of the Mountain line. So if you haven't seen the Kappa, it's kind of a little bit of an Easter egg, everybody. Go look up what that means. It's so
the wolf Kappa are able to coexist in the same ecosystem there?
I don't know. Maybe they fight. Maybe that's why they're there, to fight it up for the points at the top here. As we've got Teresa from the BBB. Mirt is here as well from Gen Z. Denman just coming across the line there. 9th, 10th goes to Kenna. Still able to pull off some points, but Fleece here waiting up for Sammy Stewart. They're going to have to work together, this Beta team here, to try and grab as many points as they can across the final for the finish line, because things have blown up when it comes to a climber's course for Canyon Beta.
I guess it's now the obligatory time to mention it's a team sport, right, Nathan? And the points are scored with every rider. You tally the points together as a team. So right there's the wolf that we're talking about. Now I'm kind of on edge because I'm worried the Kappa is going to come flying.
And this is the best parts of the broadcast, Dave, to be honest. I mean, there's no, they This is what everybody's waiting for. That's for sure. As let's jump back in with the
big
men.
bonus.
Getting into. They actually are just getting into their.
So let's see if they get the Kappa. That might be a Rachel Elliott inspired Easter egg. If the Kappa is still here when the men come by, I'll be surprised.
That'd be. We're gonna find him. If he's there, we're finding him. Now,
so the guys have a huge
moment. We're not going to have a burrito moment, I don't think, here. No Sammy Stewart moment. I'd be surprised. But
that was a highlight.
That was the coolest move. Really, like the way that played out, too, where she threw down that kind of left hook, cut you off into the corner a little bit here, and then Rachel comes over the top. There's another burrito, though. Mallory gives a little bit of a kick. Not exactly the same, but Hexagon, they're second place overall at this point. Nice little move from Hex. Jaludo's here as well. They're putting the pressure on.
Yeah, all right. Well, so now you can see this is the same. This is right where the burrito was thrown at Rachel Elliott, right? I believe so. As now the guys get their chance, it's turning into a Donnybrook out here as the guys now dig in. They got a ways to go, however, here before the next arch.
Well, yeah, remember we had talked about how we have these little turns over and over again. You can almost see the arch off in the distance here, but as we get the helicopter
easy to get
view,
sucked in.
Right? Yeah, and these little corners can slingshot you over and over again here. So we'll see what ends up playing out here. Is this a little bit of a lead out from Bayan now from GFTBE?
You feel for about 1 minute that you're just about 100 meters from the finish, right? Or from the sprint. Here we go. Playing that arrow power up. There's the arch now.
Nice job by Trent. Does it again. He did the first across the line over the top of the tower climb. Now he hits the temple as well. And that's probably fastest through segment, I would think, too, with the way that he used that arrow power. I'd be surprised if he wasn't.
Nathan, I think our top 10 bikes are Tron bikes out here. That was clearly the choice. These guys are watching Dave and Cy.
I think it was. I think it's the best when it comes to being all the surfaces, too. I think there's just...
Yeah, it's such a mixed bag that you've got here today. And that's where the Tron bike is best, right?
100%. Yeah, exactly. It is a hugely mixed bag, and it is the best. It's a punchy course. It's all over the place when it comes to flats, climbs, sprints, etc. So it does everything well. Dave, this rider here, I always am interested when we have a rider coming in from in real life UCI Pro. UCI Pros are the only ones who do get the in-game pro kit. And this is going to be Nishsan coming from the Netherlands. Kenny for Wahoo Lacole. I'm going to try and get some information on this rider because he's giving a little bit of dig off the front here.
It's always a little more fun, isn't it? And we will do our research here, figure out exactly what we've got. That's one of the great things about our community is that, like, riders like Leonard Tugels, Christopher McGlinchey, they race at real life pro events in Europe.
He's a cyclocross national champion, right? Like, yeah, I mean, he's not at the elite level, the highest level you can get. I mean, McGlinchey and likes. So this rider, though, Niesten, are the Netherlands. It's going to be Kenny. Trying to find some more information here. Looks like Wahoo Lacole, good pickup for them as he gives. This looks like a similar move, though, to what we saw. Exactly, it's actually the exact same move we saw from Elliott, but at 44 and 49 kilometers per hour, there's just too much of a pack. It's not broken apart enough here to really make a move.
Yeah, it shows you how hard it is, even for a professional racer, to do damage to a group with this kind of depth out here. But Wahoo Lacole, Nathan, clearly they're going to be active as we make our way on to the Temple climb. Dirt road sector, not that far off.
Not that far off at all. Now I'm going to jump back and forth here as we're getting into some hot moments between the two races. We definitely want to make sure that we get as much across both of these as we possibly can here. Rachel Elliott still off the front, as you can see. She's got a solid 36 seconds. She's only opening up the gap more here at this point. Van Boven there. Van Zielst, as you can see, on the chase with 3 riders now. Vignopa there from Gen Z. Be on the watch out for her. As I have a feeling she's going to have a solid sprint against these 2 other riders here. As far as teams go, Dave, Team Netherlands are having a really solid day. They are not that high up in the standings overall, so this is kind of a breakthrough ride for them. Look at them, 56 points in 7th place currently, but they've got two riders here, one off the in second place trying to chase down Elliott, while they also have Van Zielst here sitting in for a possible second and third on the podium today for them. Solid ride here coming from Team NL.
Kenny Neeson, Dutch rider, has ridden for Katusha in his career. Now is racing at the continental level for a Dutch team, Team Sweet, Nice Continental. That's some serious credentials out here today. Here's our 3-rider group. Yeah. So
4K to the line. 4K to the line so far. For Rachel
my
Elliott.
money is on Rachel Elliott, that's for sure.
40 seconds up and only growing. And look at the power that Rachel Elliott can put out. I mean, this effort challenges my efforts, that's for sure. I mean, like...
And she could do it again is the thing, right? If we took them back to the start line, I would imagine that Rachel could do another race. She's got so much endurance.
I'm just blown away by her ability for these threshold efforts. It's just crazy how strong she is.
So I think it's worth noting, Nathan, we have a lot of folks that, come into the world of esports and make a big effort and run at it and really focus on esports. And they do it for 6 months, and that's about all they can sustain. Rachel Elliott has been doing this for 7 years now.
7 years. So I actually got a memory today on my Facebook of Jarvis
That Las
Island.
Vegas event?
7 years ago, Jarvis Island beta, like before Watopia. So before any esports or anything like that, 7 years ago, and Rachel Elliott very shortly after that was on my radar, actually.
Well, and that's the first rider on your radar, basically. I mean, this is when it all begins. That's incredible. So I think that story is about to be published, the Rachel Elliott winning round 5 of the ZRL here. And that'll be 2 wins for her so far this season. Back in with Neeson, the Continental Pro rider on Sweet Nice that we were just talking about. The guys get stuck in there on the temple climb.
Just getting into the about halfway point or so of that temple climb. Tret has been such an incredible rider here so far for that SRT team. We'll see if he can do another first across the line. He's got the first 2 on the day so far. Hexagon, though, really starting to make some moves. Here comes WLC with it's going to be Hamlet on the kick. Where is my question? Where's the mountain bike man? Is he able to, will Budge make it to this point if he is on that mountain bike? I have a feeling he's here. I'm not sure he's actually on that bike, though. Because if he was, I would think he'd be kind of starting to move his way forward here at this point. So I haven't been able to double check if he's actually on that. We'll see if maybe Chad can help us out a little bit here. But Nichols now from LGP making a little bit of a move at the front.
You almost hope that he is.
Really early steamrollers here.
If he's made it that far on the mountain bike, you almost hope that he is on it now, right?
Yeah. Going to be a rough run-in on the downhills, though, with those speeds. Going to be really difficult. Let's go ahead and go full screen here with the men. We'll jump back in with the ladies. Rachel's going to finish up in just a moment. But again, want to catch these finals.
Yeah, and I do want to talk about the fact that even though Rachel Elliott's going to win this race, you wonder, is she going to stack up enough points for her Socks for Watts team to find the top 3 today, which I'm going to imagine that her effort will put them into the top 3, going over to Wahoo Lacole. And this is going to be the points that the guys have scored so far today. A lot of Belgian flags out here.
Yeah, the GFTBE team are having a really good ride there. 52 points for Bayan.
Fantastic. So, and you can see that Towle with 27 points, Van Letem with 24, Tret with 23, Basic for 20, Hamlet again there with 17, Van der Linden 15. He's tied with Mal. It's going to be Nichols with 12 and Lind with 11. That's how we've been scoring the points so far with all the bonuses. There's a well-played steamroller, Nathan.
This guy has just been on fire today. Tret going again. Solid kick. And he goes first across the line. Will he get his third first across the line? Not fastest through segment over and over again. Coach trying to follow it up here. I don't think it's going to be enough. it is a little bit tricky, this section. That's for sure, to try and close things down once you do have that gap. And there it is, 1-2. It's going to be Ramacho here from Zwift España. Jacques Ledoux comes on through from Hexagon. They're going to go through for 4th and 5th place. Let's go ahead and jump on back to Rachel Elliott. She is about to finish up her race, though. That's your top 5 in the men over the top of the climb. Rachel rounding the final quarters here. And as she does, it's game over. Full minute over the chase now at this point.
Racing from the night into the day, back into the night, as this was a command performance from Rachel Elliott out here today. Rachel, you remain my hero, no doubt about it. How many seconds is she going to have, Nathan? I mean, is it going to really be a minute back on second place today? That's mind-blowing.
Yeah, 103. And we talked about it at the beginning. I didn't think it was going to be this kind of a domination, though, to be honest. I'm kind of blown away how well she dominated here.
Yeah.
And there's the line. I believe that white is the line, actually. Maybe not. Yeah, that white is the line. That's actually, so like right around that white chalk mark. That, or whatever that, I don't know what chalk mark. I call it a chalk mark because that's how we used to mark them, right?
Right.
Van Boven
it is a
here.
little tricky.
It is, and apologies everybody on that because of the nature of.
Okay, you could just sit here and watch this neighborhood. I saw some guys playing hacky sack. It looked like in a garage.
Really?
There.
No.
Yeah.
Just like the Kappa.
Unbelievable.
Just like the Kappa.
It's in here.
They're playing hacky
just
sack
so many
with the
Easter
Kappa.
eggs. Oh man, there they are. Those are the guys. You see them? They're on your left.
Oh yeah.
Just a lot of people hanging out tonight.
What I want to know is who's going to win this sprint for this 3rd place. Very key for the points out here today. And Boven's going to take this down for that 2nd. Nice job by Team Netherlands as she crosses the line here. But it's going to be Engstrom, Van Zielst, and Venopa. Now, Venopa, the finish rider here, set very well for a jump. Engstrom starting to lead things out, 5 watts per kilogram. There it is. And I think this game is already over. 13 watts per kilogram. Not even a challenge here at this point as Venopa here comes over the top. Arrow power up. She's got the power up. She's got the speed and the watts per kilogram there. 13 or so plus. Van Zielst, Engstrom. Then it's going to be Kelly here trying to break away. That was
the finish. Right.
That white line, I think we've kind of figured it out a little bit.
It's a healthy chalk line if it's a chalk line.
Denman over the top of her teammate, but they are going to go 6-7.
Right there.
Teresa Johansson. This is like, we saw this yesterday in Premier Division too, didn't we, Dave? Where it was just rider after rider after rider trying to fill out that top 30 as quickly as they can.
Yeah, almost like, just wandering in from the wilderness after a tough day. This is the biggest group that we're going to see out on road. Clara Nash coming across the line here. Good job,
Stuart,
Clara.
Ukenna,
lot
there.
Of Canyon.
Yeah.
So what do you think,
top
Nathan?
10, top 10 is still for Canyon. We'll have to wait and see.
Does Canyon have enough points there to overcome that barrage from Rachel Elliott today? It's typically one rider is not
stood
enough.
Prior to the finish, I believe.
Yes, I mean,
look at Stewart. I mean, even after getting dropped, though, I mean, what a rider. Whew.
Well, she picks up those fastest through segment points as well. You're right. What a rider.
Nice job to Rave here, getting this top 20, 19th place. It looks like Davidson trying to hold on. Can she do it? One last kick there. Thought up by Debbie from Zed Sun Herd. Ellie Cameron's in there as well. This is your top 30 all coming to the line. As these are the final spots for a couple extra points.
If you look back on this season here, season 5 or season 2 of 2021-2022, this course maybe defines the entire season best of all. A lot of points, a lot of action, incredibly aggressive racing. You just never know what's going to happen out here. I really feel like the ZRL's moved into a whole new level here this season.
Women's West is next. We're jumping on over to that Pens. And then we've got Men's West Division 1. And then we're done for the day as far as EMEA goes. Let's jump back in over with the men. We just jumped into the Pens for the Women's West racing. They'll be starting off in 8 minutes and 15 seconds, as you can see here. We'll get the points updated and the results there for the men's race, for the women's race that just finished up. Men's race here, though, from Central. This is the lead pack here now as they had a breakaway. And this is the theme of the day, breakaway, breakaway, breakaway. These packs are never staying together, it seems like, Dave. I don't even know if it's possible.
Yeah, certainly. I can see this course becoming a favorite for many. It plays into aggressive riders, and that really is what people have been looking for. Whew, okay, well, finale time for the guys here. Hexagon all over the racing today. Big jump forward for the Hexagon team out of France.
Hey, Rachel's hanging out in chat. Nice job out there, Rachel. Amazing. 103? Come on now, lady. That wasn't a full minute. You got to leave a little bit on the table for everybody else. Just kidding. That was really amazing. Evan, good to see Rachel hanging out in the broadcast.
You've had the pleasure of meeting Rachel in real life at some events, haven't you?
Multiple times. Yeah, first time in London, actually. So we had the third CVR event in London. The first one was Roanoke. The second one was Vegas. And then the third one was in London. And she showed up and showed us what the next level of e-racing was really all about. Because
it just has maintained,
kind of walked away with that one. Like, and there was like, okay, KISS Racing Team was showing up and just dominating a lot in the virtual events, and there was a little bit like, okay, what's really going to happen here with this Rachel Elliott? You know, like, is she going to show up and be able to do what we've seen her do virtually? And she not only did that, she just walked away with the race, to be honest. I mean, there was an attack that went, and it was a race for second at that point, similar to what we just saw here. So, multiple times been able to meet up with Rachel, and on the bike, an absolute monster. Don't want to contend with her, and off the bike, the nicest person you could ever meet. That's for sure.
I completely agree. All right, so it's a long, flat run into the finish line after you make the temple climb and put paid to that as they roll by the bus stop here. Can you imagine if the Kappa was waiting at the bus stop? That would be terrifying. I'm sure the driver wouldn't stop. But an attack out of the group here. Tret, though, looks like he's intent on shutting this one down, Nathan. He's been incredibly active out here today, but it is a small group. I mean, it looks like we've got maybe a dozen riders are going to bring this one in the front group to the line here.
I think there was a little bit of concern that with only like 15 seconds, it's starting to get a little bit close. So I think there was a tad bit of concern that something might be coming back here. They're starting to look at each other a little bit as Almeida from Hexagon did make that move. Tret has been over and over again the man to deal with when it comes to first across the line. And now Jaladu gives it a go here, his teammate. This is going to be 1-2s, it looks like. That's what Hexagon is up to. They sent one off the front. Now they're going to do it again. They've got the numbers, Dave, right? There's 3 riders here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
well, I mean, let me reference you to what the Wahoo Lacole women did yesterday, right? It's an organized display of force that we're looking at. And speaking of Wahoo Lacole, here we go. It looks like they're ready to make their move here as we're back into it. The finale has now arrived. We're down to 3K to go.
It's our man, Kenny Neeson, making another move. Young now comes over the top for VCRT. Tret now following it up, and he's been the KG smart rider with the last-minute moves over and over again. Goes right to the wheel.
It's easy to imagine.
It's all about first.
Winning.
It's always, it's not the rider who does the most work, right? It's the one who comes across the line first here. And bike racing takes a lot of tactics, and Tret seems to be your man when it comes to tactics today.
It would be so simple if it was just the strongest rider. It's so far from that. It's caginess. It's the ability to get other people to finish what's on their plate before you start in on yours. And this is really going to be quite a battle. Very similar, Nathan, to a race we just watched, about a 10-rider group coming to the line. Does anyone attack out of this group and stay away?
They're bringing they're almost in sight, Dave. They're actually almost in sight. And
Still
Hexagon,
big ask to tell you
the
truth,
is
because they're going
11
to start
seconds.
sprinting here.
But I think Hexagon actually want this to come back. Maybe, I'm not sure. They've got 3 riders here and 2 back there. Are they confident enough that they could still put grab these extra spots in the top 10 because they're on the chase, it seems like. Or is it the coaster that's doing most of the work? Look at this. They're in sight. They literally can see them.
Wow, this would be amazing. And it really speaks to the new era of esports racing. If this second group makes the catch in the last 2K, that was unheard of a couple of years ago.
And here we go. They're backing off at the front a little bit. They're not seeing a whole lot of.
They get any more tactical, they're going to get caught. You're right.
5.7 to coaster. No, this group here needs to really put the work in, though. Mally here looks like from Hexagon is interested in going across 9 watts per kilogram here. They want these extra points, I believe, is what's happening. They're trying to just drop anybody off here behind. 6 seconds is all there is to it. Are there any steamrollers in that pack? Any steamrollers in either of these packs are really going to be the telltale. And now we see it. They know they're coming. Nicholas from LGP gives it a go. Takes the risk here, Dave.
I love it. Fortune favors the brave as they get back onto the tarmac sector here now. So a little bit misplayed with that steamroller. Again, doing your reconnaissance out here makes a huge difference. A couple of riders dangling off the front, Nathan, as we rapidly come up on 1K to go. And this is going to be Van der Linden up and over the top. So the Belgian rider is now your solo leader.
And here's the thing. We have not seen this work yet. This specific move has not worked, but it is the last opportune time to use that power-up, gain some advantage over the rest of the pack, and give it a go. This little downhill back into Neokyo makes it difficult if there's a pack behind. 2 seconds at this point. They're not going to bring it back here. It looks like it's too much for this chasing pack as well. 5 seconds out still, as it's going to be De Silva trying to go across or hold on for a top 10 still here. Tret is still playing it smart, it looks like, but sitting in. But look at this. You might be right. Linden off the front still 7 seconds now at this point. Where's the kick? Tret's trying to chase it. I'm not sure that anybody has anything left.
Nichols is the one rider who can get in this slipstream. He might be able to slingshot by the pressure from in front and behind for that chasing group here, as they don't want to get caught. And this looks like it's going to be a 2-rider battle at this point. They're down to about 300 meters to go. Again, this finish line is very sneaky. It comes on you quite quickly, looking for that white mark on the road.
You're right.
And Nichols goes by.
Nichols is going to get it. He has it. Oh, my gosh. Sits in and waits for it. Cole comes through for second and third here. Looks like Jaloudou for fourth. Man, what? Nichols just sat in that slipstream, waited for the moment, and got dragged up by Linden. The poor guy, this guy made the move, and Nichols was just the smart one to hold on to that wheel. Sat in it. I mean, he kind of sat in it. I mean, it was off the back just a tad, but I think it was just enough. Made the kick to the line. What a move there by Nichols. 12 seconds. Well, it's just back-to-back racing, Dave, nonstop. Here we go as we get the next one up.
Wow. Okay. So
Women's West Div 1, just so everybody knows, Women's West Div 1 is what we're jumping into. We'll get the results up for that men's race in just a moment, as well as the women's race that we had watched. As these ladies kick off out on course action, we'll get those results right on up.
All right. So, yeah, this is the last batch of racing that happens in this morning. Well, morning for us, as it's the same deal here. 33 kilometers of racing, the rooftop, the castle, and the temple, before they make their way into the finale. It's been aggressive all day long. I wouldn't expect anything different now. So our EMEA West Division 1 women taking over.
And in here, WLC's hanging out, Fabric. We've got, now this is some big names as well. Aeonians here, Van Eyck. We've got Arce is here as well. Electric Spirit CO. I mean, pretty Crush Pod is here as well. The Norns, Rafa, KRT Rockets. So we've got a lot to talk about here when it comes to this. Amanda Wendorf is in here as well. So yeah, a lot of big names. This is also going to be a hotly contested.
Lou Bates in this group for No Pins R3R. Big
Laura
talent
Perry's here as well.
Yeah, there's some real talent in this group. It looks like V Win must be directing a team out here today.
I think she's
well.
actually racing.
Is she?
Isn't V Win Sweet Potato or no?
I actually have V Win now with just V Win. Oh, that's V. Yeah, there you go.
What is
KRT Rockets.
I didn't know she jumped onto the KRT team.
So
cool to see.
Typically, she's been on Twitch lately.
Yeah, I think she's going to be streaming this live. I wouldn't be surprised at all. The sweet potato.
It's fun to see V back. It's been a hot minute.
So many results to go through here, everybody. Trying to getting all the results up here, everybody, as these ladies jump out on course. And,
now's a good time, though. We have a little bit before this is going to really hot up. When you look at the quality of riders we've got in this race, this is going to be bananas.
And Dave, why don't you walk us through this as I find the men's as well?
Sounds good. Well, Rachel Elliott, we talked a lot about today, and certainly backs that up with a big win. And I mean, look at the power there too. I mean, she didn't fake this one. This wasn't sneaky. This was just Rachel at her best. 5 watts per kilo over 48 minutes. It's going to be Willian van Boven taking second for Team NL Ladies A. It's Laura Venjopa for Gen CE Racing Ladies in third. Lieke van Zilst in fourth. Cornelia Ekström, the Swedish rider for Swedish Swifters Sim in fifth. Melissa Denman out of the United Kingdom, along with Lou Kelly for Zed Sunrace in sixth and seventh. Teresa Davids in eighth for BBB Racing. Hanna Johansson in ninth for Canyon Esports. And 10th is Clara Nash for Ravon. What's really surprising to me, Nathan, is to see Canyon Esports only gets one rider in the top 10.
Yeah, interesting to see there. Now, I think they still end up with solid point, and
they still have
really
a lot of points.
Yeah, and it really speaks to the team being able to use their matches for where they excel on the course, right, and still be able to make something happen. We'll see if we can get an idea of who actually won between the teams out here on the day, because I wonder how well Rachel was able to carry that with those points out there. Get an idea.
Not that well.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, because 37, 60. I'm doing a little bit of math here real quickly, and this is not with the points across the line when it comes to the finish, and so 90 points.
So add another 50.
Yeah, no, 50 points. Yeah, so 110. If we look at the rest of Canyon, 16. She might have done it. She might have done it, actually. We'll see, because Stewart and the rest there, they also grabbed some across the finish line as well, too. So it's going to be close, but I think you're right. I think Canyon were able to eke this one out.
Boy, it's going to be close, though. It really is. It's interesting, the way the points are distributed there. It speaks to the success, to tell you the truth, of what WTRL and the Zwift Racing League are all about, is creating interesting race scenarios here. It's not just one strong rider that can dominate, although a rider like Rachel Elliott certainly makes it interesting. Coming up on the first points here, just a little after 5K in, is where that arch is. We call this one the rooftop.
Let's see if we can get a quick look here. We also saw the men's race just finish up, and this is going to be the Central Div 1. It was Andy Nichols. We saw him holding on to Bart Vanderlin's wheel all the way to the line, able to take out that Grand Fondo Team BE at the line. Alexander Coe, the best of the rest, almost made it happen there. Only 0.75 seconds back from that, trying to bring back that late attack there that was initiated by Bart Vanderliden. Then it's going to be Artis Jaludu from Hexagon. Paul Trett, he was the man who we thought perhaps was going to be the cagiest on the day, but ends up in 5th place for the finish line there. Sebastian Havet there for Hexagon, followed up by Pierre Alameda in 7th there. Kenny Nisian from Wahoo Lacole. Then it's going to be James Young from VCRT. And in 10th place, Paul Hamlet rounds out your top 10 for EMEA Central Div 1. That is the Central said and done. We're in with West now as for the women. And this will be the final of our EMEA as the women are out on course. Also, the men's pen starts in 8:37, and that will be the West Div 1 as well, and we'll be done for the day on EMEA. Of course, lots more racing after this as well with the Americas. It's a long day out here, Dave, as racing back to back to back to back. Goes to show, 20,000 racers across, and this is all the top end of it. We also have B, C's, and D category across all of this as well.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing what happens on Tuesdays. No doubt about it. It's certainly the world's largest ongoing endurance sporting event by a long shot. And I love the fact that we've got riders from around the globe participating. A lot of this scenario, you see the blue and purple jerseys of the Wahoo LaColle team moving up to the front. Mentioned Lou Bates at the top of the broadcast, and absolutely Rhea Mobbs is a breakthrough rider out here. And Wahoo LaColle is back at it, Nathan. As a matter of fact, here we go. We got ourselves a jailbreak happening.
Yeah, Rhea Mobbs always want to watch out when it heads uphill. Lou Bates following it up here. Bates here, a rider we've seen at the top end of the sport here, Premier Division level for sure, as well as V-Win. As V follows this up, this almost feels like I'm commentating on a year ago Premier Division type level here, because these riders have all been at that level before, and Bates comes over the top with a kick, always one for a sprint at the end of a climb, as Lou Bates here at 184 beats per minute goes to the line with V-Win. Rhea Mobbs, though, WLC mobs it over the front, and she's going to take this one down with a few bike lengths. It's going to be Bates followed up by the Sweet Potato V-Win, and then Van Eyck there from Aeonian rounding out the top four.
Wow, and does this split the group? Look at the damage being done back through the peloton. So Wahoo LaColle's completely blown this up. Good to see V-Win, who the Vietnamese rider who's now living in Boston, is able to hang in here. She's doing a tremendous job of just doing enough. Who's the Aeonian rider? It's going to be Van Eyck here, who's up in this move. This could be a very dangerous group if they decide to keep working together here, Nathan. They've got a huge gap. Well, all things considered, almost a 5-second gap at this point.
And look at this. 1, 2, 3 Wahoo LaColle riders here working together to go across without anyone in their wheels here at this point. Looks like the group is going to come back to them.
Laura
but this
Perry.
was a moment here with Laura Perry Bar. This is seriously a danger moment for the rest of the pack. If they're able to get involved at the front of this race here and not get brought back, but it looks like that is going to happen. And a rider like Luis Gamps is not going to let this go. There's some strength behind here.
Look at this.
The alarm bells should be going off a little bit, but there is still a lot of strength behind here in this main pack.
When's the last time 6K into a race you saw this kind of activity? It's like a hornet's nest out there right now. You've got to feel no one has their back protected out here. You don't know where the next attack is going to come from. We're on our way to the castle climb now, looking at another hotly contested point sector.
Doesn't look like Mobs in this front group are really sitting up. I would almost expect them to say, okay, there's a large group behind here at this point, but they've got 2 seconds, and they seem to want to work with it a little bit here. 3.7 on the front here from Rhea, now 4.3. It does look like it's going to come back pretty quickly here, though, as Crouch and Stelvio with Luis Gamps here shuts things right on down.
Look how much smaller, though. That front group is half the size it was from when we started. Does this group rejoin here?
This is what I would not want to happen. If I were in that front group, I'd be pushing on a little bit to say I do not want Baril. I wouldn't want Kearney. I wouldn't want these Rose as well. There's some bigger names here that have been dropped off at this point that I would just not want to even be involved in the conversation any longer. And it looks like they are pushing on at the front. I'm seeing 4 watts per kilogram from riders at the back of that pack. So it tells me that there's some pressure being put on here. And I think that's going to be Wahoo LaColle most likely really starting to ramp things up still on the front. And you do see those blue jerseys there.
Well, they're going hard enough that riders are actually getting tailed out of that front group. So I think they're in agreement with you, to tell you the truth. So this is the Tête de la Course now, the front of the race. I'm sure plenty of folks are just joining us now for the first time, as we've all been racing for a few hours here. The Aero power up, the Burrito power up, and the Steamroller are what are in play. There are some burritos being used now. We saw Sammy Stewart use that burrito with great effect earlier, although all it really seemed to do was motivate Rachel Elliott.
All it did was light a fire. All it did was poke the bear. And next thing you know, like within 10 seconds, everybody was dropped. Or maybe 30 seconds after.
I think A 1 minute and 3 second gap back to second place. That's the largest margin of victory in a solo breakaway that I can remember seeing. Not just on this course, but in a long time. It's a huge gap.
Perhaps two goals at one point, but
maybe. But I still even think that was sub 1 minute. But you're right. There've been a couple that are in that neighborhood. No, it's pretty rare.
Yeah, it's super rare to see that kind of a gap and discrepancy at that point, for sure. Let's go ahead and take a look and see if we can bring in some of these points here for this crew.
Does this come back together or not?
I think they look like they've calmed down a little bit. The group behind is only 6 seconds back, but it doesn't look like they're working. They don't seem interested, though, to be honest.
Well, and I think it's sort of that. There's a reason why that group is behind, right? They weren't on good days, and maybe the day isn't getting much better.
Yeah, exactly. There might just not be the firepower in here to bring this back.
Sometimes you just don't have it, right? And if you could sit on a group with really strong riders that were going to close it down, great. Well, maybe they get back, but
6 seconds? Is it continuing to go out?
It is, and I think that if this goes another 2K like this, it's over for that second group because they'll start fighting for the castle points.
Got some landscape to work with here, but I just get the feeling that look at the speed. They just slow. You can even see it, that it's slowed right on down. Bareil's getting frustrated, I think, making her way to the front here, trying to push on. It's sitting at that.
This is where you have to bridge across alone, where you don't wait. You just attack out of that group.
Forget this. Nobody's working with me.
If you've got it, yeah.
Time to go.
Forget you guys. Right, yeah.
You know those moments. I say that all the time. Forget you guys. I'm out of here. This is the current standings. Aeonian.
If this is all you got, look at this.
Wow, 74, 74, 74. This is one of the most hotly contested. This is the talking point for this crew.
Huh. Yeah, it's with 20,000 racers and over 1,000 teams. Sometimes these stories slip past you. 74 points for 3 different teams here, which speaks to a few things, right? The consistency amongst these 3 teams, pretty amazing here. So Aeonian, Wahoo LaColle, and Cryogen, 3 of the big names in esports racing. No Pins sitting in 4th with Rafa RCC back in 5th, Crushpod 6th, KRT. But the KRT team has added V-Win, apparently. It's a nice pickup as Femme Forte, powered by Stages 8, Sisu 9th, and Watt Fabric, your 10th place team.
One thing I definitely want to highlight here when it comes to this specific zone is that this West, EMEA West, then, is the only one that we've seen that's this close. There isn't really across any of the other divisions this kind of parity across the teams. We kind of have can the teams turn it around? Can they, for the second half of the season, show what they have when it comes to climbers courses or more FTP type riders that have something of more of a threshold effort for steady grinding. Whereas this is just close across the board. There hasn't been a standout team, and this is going to be a crucial moment, I think, in this. Actually, from here on out, you could say the next 3 races, each one of them are going to be crucial because you can't really get that much separation, it seems like, between them. And this is going to come right down to the final race, most likely, unless a team can really walk away on the day-to-day. And I'm not seeing...
Well, think about the huge difference that you have. You think about the huge difference.
Go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
Think about the difference that you've got with, if you were able to take the top points today, go in with that advantage into the final race, which is a double. Well, for the community, it is not the final race. I should say you're into race 6. So they've got that's one of the differences between community racing and the Premier League. As Premier wraps up after next week, where these races have a bit more to go.
So looking at the representation here, Cryogen. We're seeing 2 riders. WLC hanging out with, it looks to be 4. Cryogen with 3 riders. And then when it comes to Aeonian Race Team, they've made it in with only 2, I believe. So they may be. Nope. This looks like 3 as one rider jumps right back on.
There we
There's
go.
going to be Marina Arce, actually. So
who's a talented rider. That's a good one to have. Although, yeah, this is really an interesting scenario, isn't it?
So out of those 3 teams that are at the top, Wahoo Nicole with the most advantage, only a single rider advantage, but it is one rider that can grab more points.
Yeah, a single rider is a huge difference, though, because it is, 25% more point-getting ability out there. Crushpod going to attack now with Matsuki.
Nice little move here. It looks like RCC going to respond. It's actually the teams that don't have the representation looking to try and put a little pressure on rather than these teams with all the riders at the top end of the leaderboard right now.
Rooftop points coming up next, and that's definitely inspiring this group. It looks like Rhea Mobs and the Wahoo Nicole team are going to start pushing on now.
Pulls it right on down, and as they're looking for that climb, the Kappa climb, as they're making the way. Do we need to rename it the Kappa climb?
Well, how long does Kappa hang out for, I wonder? I really hope
I didn't see him there again, actually, this last time around.
No.
It makes me a little sad.
Well, it came out for Rachel Elliott, so I think just kind of recognizing the greatness of Rachel, and then kind of just was gone.
Fastest through segment goes to Lou Bates. Rhea Mobs takes down 3rd for fastest through segment, but first across the line. V-Wind right in the middle of the 2 there with 3rd place for first across the line, but actually gets 2nd on fastest through segment. Then it starts to fade down a little bit there with Van Eyck, Barr, Perry, Cecil. So Wahoo Nicole able to grab points to be currently in the lead because of how much representation they have at the top there. Just playing it smart. There is that reality of not going into your afterburners and saving that nitrous oxide, saving that extra final kick that you have. There's a lot of glycogen burned, a lot of sugar in the muscles, a lot of energy exponentially burned extra when you make those kicks to the line, those orange number kicks. Whereas if you do have enough teammates there and you're able to roll through, maybe not roll through easily, but you don't give those extra kicks, you can save enough to kind of just populate like you're seeing with Wahoo Nicole here and just come with that depth of field to take down these wins rather than sacrifice and take too much risk. Where we saw Rhea obviously taking some big risks, but the rest of them following through there and allow Rhea to do her thing.
Yeah, it's really interesting what we've learned and how to race in the ZRL and the numbers game element. I mean, there's always going to be quality and quantity and that ratio of the two. And Wahoo Nicole has really figured that out. They've definitely got the ability to keep a maximum number of riders who are still active in the race up in this front group. As we take a look at the peloton here, right to the middle part, 33K of racing. But this is a big moment that they're coming up on now, Rooftop. Castle.
Today's race here, we are getting some questions coming on through about what are racers riding besides the Tron, because there probably are a lot of racers out there that do not have the Tron accessible to them. I do think that you're going to look for more of the other all-arounder bikes, the bikes that do go aren't necessarily the fastest on the flats, not necessarily the, fastest on the uphills, but they do both really, really well. So you are seeing a lot of these interesting combos where riders are jumping onto something that it's not just going to be that Venge plus a DT plus the DT Swisses. You are seeing a couple of riders take that, but with how much climbing there is out there, I would say that bike is actually not the go-to at all out there today. That would be the opposite of the go-to. So do not do the usual Venge S-Works plus DT Swiss. You are seeing a lot of combos here that you can see here with those in between DT Swiss deep dishes, but not the full disc wheel. Alongside of, I've seen a lot of the canyons out there. You are seeing the Scott being used. So because of the reality of this all-arounder course more so, you kind of find those bikes that are not at that top end of those test charts that you see over on Zwift Insider, and rather people are kind of picking something that's a little bit lower down in that 75 to 80% range of the fastest through. And you do get these bikes that are kind of both end. You get these bikes that are around that 80% mark on the climb and on the flats. And those are the ones that people tend to be going for today, it seems.
Kind of reminds me of the old Dungeons and Dragons days, right? Where you try to have your strength and your charisma and your cunning, and you have a good score in all of the different categories, but never the best in any one category, right?
Exactly.
That's kind of what the Tron bike is, to tell you the truth.
It is. It is the best go-to when it comes to the all-arounding, for sure. It just takes a lot of climbing. So if user number, I can't remember what user number is Simon again. I think he's number 6, and he doesn't have a Tron bike. If he doesn't have the Tron bike, don't feel too
there's
bad
a lot
about
of
not
factors
having
at
it.
play with Simon, though, on that.
Looks like Johansson here, SGAB, he might actually get this. Deepak Elite, Evola, looking to try and come across 13 watts per kilogram. I think he's going to do it. Evola here. Johansson. Ooh. I actually might be able to get you guys a replay of that because that was close. That was real close.
That might go back to the old back-end API, to tell you the truth. That's how close that was.
Yeah, we'll see if we...
Pretty hard to call by eye. You can see the guys just getting into it here as they're going to be racing out of Nyokyo pretty quickly, make it through that little sector and transition into the daylight of Makuri Islands, where the women are right now. They're actually racing back to Nyokyo here as they'll start into the temple sector of their race pretty quickly. The guys
about
now
to jump into it here. This is going to be the first of the temple climbs as they are halfway up here. Matsky here just trying to hang on, it looks like. I think WLC are starting to pour it on the front.
Yeah, and here we go. It's going to be a new phase, isn't it? When you see all of the WLC riders up on the front, this is ominous. It reminds me of the Premier League yesterday, to tell you the truth. This is an indicator that you need to get positioning right now.
Mobs to the front. She was able to take out that first across the line over the top of the towers. Now it looks like IQ from RCC following it up there. Cryogen is also involved here with Reitzma. Look at this arrow power up very early from the Crush Pod rider. I think just trying to find a good position, perhaps for a fade climb, as Mobs comes again with 7 watts per kilogram. Bates matching it. Watt for watt, though. Great to see Lou really on form here in the second half of this season.
Look at Van Aert. Guys, the Van Aert, the Dutch rider on Ionian, is back up there contesting as well. So I think we found out who the real strong women are today, Nathan.
V-Win.
It's the same cast of characters.
It's so great to see V-Win back out racing. Sweet potato off to the front fan here. Oh, yeah. 7.2 now coming from the rider here out of Seattle. Smashing the pedals here.
V moved, Nathan.
Did she? Oh, well, I'm out of the loop here. How do I not know this? She literally comes to every one of my live streams when I'm racing, and I don't know this, V. Why haven't I been told? You better tell me about this right now at 180 beats per minute. Mob's now 6 watts per kilogram.
How can you not love V-Win, right? Yeah, she's in Boston now.
What?
Yeah. This is Rhea Mobs again. Rhea is absolutely going animal mode right now, and she's going to blow this race up. So V-Win able to hang in there. Van Aert is still there as well. Lou Bates, Barr, Cecil, Laura Perry, the Canadian. But not everybody's going to survive it. This one. This is brutal out here today. Rhea Mobs is a legend as she is making the race right now. Lou Bates comfortably. She's going to come up over the top. Or no, Lou doing just enough to make sure that she's up in this front group. Look at this dynamic. What a race we're witnessing here.
Barr, Mobs, WLC. Bates is here from No Pins. KRT Rockets there. They've brought the ringer in with V-Win. Moving across the country to Boston. Bates is here now, as you can see. Van, I had no idea.
You don't get farther from Seattle.
No, you don't. I was like, I had to I did a double take in my head. Like, wait, Boston? Are you sure? Like, she went all the way across. Wow. First in here now from WLC looking to close things down. They still want a few more bodies, it looks like, up there. Surprisingly, I'm actually a little surprised that the Irish woman here is making a move at 5. So looks like they want as many WLC here with this lead group as possible. They're shutting it down at the front. Maybe they don't want to go head-to-head with the likes of
if you're Wahoo LaCole, I think that's a tactical mistake, to tell you the truth, to chase this back. I mean, to put 2 in that group, I'm surprised they didn't let another team do that work.
Yeah, it probably would have happened either way, but I am a little surprised as well that Fursden was on.
And I agree with you. It probably would have happened either way. So maybe it's just a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing. But here we go. That's your front group all together now. Relatively large group, to tell you the truth. I'm a little surprised to see this many riders still with their head above water.
As we look back here, I just wanted to get an idea. IQ, who was a very aggressive early on in this race, maybe paying a little bit for some of that aggression as she's off. Well,
you talked about that. You leave it up in the red zone a little too long, and you do pay a price.
100% here. Here's the chase group, and super Grupo Compacto. No interest at the front whatsoever, it looks like here for this main chase group here. Back to 22nd points. Still 22nd through 30th do have some solid points up for offer, so they will be battling for that, but this is going to be a top 20 now. As you can see with Arce, always a rider to, always very quiet. And then next thing you know, Marina Arce is off the front.
She's there when it matters, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. She is one of the best when it comes to riding wheels and waiting
race
for that
IQ.
key moment.
Yeah. Reading a race, they would call that, I think, and knowing when not to waste your energy, trusting in the process, and understanding the rhythm of the race. And I guess that's much like Rachel Elliott. Experience has a huge, huge advantage for riders that have been around. Esports is not like any other endurance sport that you'll do.
Starting into the climb here, onto the dirt. We have not seen any bike swaps at all. I don't think we will. We were talking about that at the beginning of the broadcast. Most likely, it would have to be a really interesting situation. I think the only divisions, or I could see, is maybe in the West or some, America's West later tonight, where it's a little bit smaller participation. You might get things broken up a little bit more, where you might have some distance, and you could say, okay, I'll jump onto a different bike, but I have a feeling we're going to see across the board just Trons as much as people possibly can.
Right. I agree. I'm looking forward to tonight's America's West. I had a chance to hang out with a lot of the riders in Austin last week. I have a chance to give them some shout outs. Dan Pedrosa and company. Super cool crew down there. So that'll be later tonight as we make our way around the globe. We still have America's East coming up before we make our way out west. There's V-Win sitting second wheel.
I'm expecting coming on through here. The community is really great when it comes to this stuff, and I just want to throw this out here as Ian Mulligan, never want to... anytime Ian speaks up, I'd pay attention, people, and when it comes to things like this. Addict with 7.8 is probably a good choice, I'd assume. In addition to the Tron, Ian, appreciate that. Marina... we're seeing Jamie Lee Wright hanging out in the chat. Good to see Jamie. Marina's smart racer with watts for days.
Well, the Aeonian socks, Nathan, that has been surpassed in a major way as they now have Aeonian big bobble hats.
What? I was wearing my Aeonian socks yesterday, actually. They were got me through my weightlifting, and I was thinking about them. I was going to take a picture, actually, post it to Insta, but I was too tired to even do that. I've been in major training block, but they got me through the training. They have bobbleheads now? I need a bobblehead.
Hats.
Bobble hats.
No, the bobble hats. Yeah, those. You saw them at this World Championship, actually, the big pom-pom on top of the winter style cap. You see them with the world's stripes all the time. It's their Aeonian edition of that hat. But that they're on.
I would wear that on broadcast. That would be on broadcast in a moment. Like the one of those shows up, we get so much stuff sent.
You're all over it.
I'm all over that one. all over that one for sure.
Wow, this looks brutal right
we've
now.
got a lot of talent hanging out in the broadcast here. Gabriella Schumann's coming in, who is a super new all-star when it comes to the Premier Division. Good to see her giving Mob some kudos. Also, no wonder Wahoo Cole's having a good time as Tim Fulford jumps on in. And one of the OGs, UK national champion of Zwift, former Kim Little, giving a little bit of shout out here as well. Good to see him. It looks like his computer's broken though. You need to get a better potato there. Yeah. Kim, I'm not sure what's happening with your potatoes, but it doesn't look like it's functioning very well. Maybe put some scones in the floppy disk drive and pour a little tea in there with your crumpets there.
Kim Little's such an awesome person. I'm such a big fan. Look at this group now, Nathan. So it's funny. Wahoo Lacole is right back where we were 5 minutes ago. 2 riders in a 5-rider group, but you've got Lou Bates to deal with. That is Lou Bates sitting third wheel now here. As we've got V Win in the KRT kit, the blue with the blue and orange stripe. The very front is the aforementioned Rhea Mobbs, who is a animal, no doubt about it. So she's really been the most active racer over the last few K here. Lou Bates, cagey, Nathan, very cagey, just sitting on that wheel. And there goes Van Acht, who certainly deserves a ton of credit as she throws her power-up steamroller up there.
Mobbs, again, 5-4 over the top of that little bit of a grinder section. Carries the speed right on through, up to 40 kilometers per hour. Puts him on the back foot a little bit here as the sweet potato looks to come across V-Win.
Now you're just pissing V-Win off. Yeah, right. V is going to shut this one down, and this should be, I'm going to expect V-Win to counter over the top of this. Just keep pressing on.
This is going to be the last kick right here. This is the last little dig. We are seeing that steamroller. Interesting use here. Cecil, that's a solid use, actually. She'll get some speed here over the top. It is a long enough power up here. It goes for 30 seconds that it should give her a boost here onto this little downhill in just a moment. Well, as it flattens out here in just a moment. She's got 3 seconds, though. Mobbs here trying to follow it up here. She only had an arrow power up. You see the strength there of the steamroller. As Cecil now, from Wahoo Lacole, walking away from the rest of the team here. Now, what will Lou Bates do?
Luck,
I'm not used to seeing this. I am not used to seeing Lou Bates on climbs for sprint sections like this on the back foot. Just goes to show the depth that's starting to come into Zwift racing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all benefit from that. Even Lou Bates is probably a little surprised to see the level that we're at here. It is so high. So Cecil there benefiting from having the perfect power up, but also credit where it's due. She's got the legs today as well, as this woman is a machine right now as we're coming into the finale.
Hey,
they're coming up on.
There's the Kappa. There he is. You see him jumping?
Seems to be a women's racing fan. He's on that rock there.
You calling the Kappa a creeper? Are you calling the Kappa a creeper? V-Win fading, it looks like
exclusive. Here. Some women's racing fans are creeps, but not all. So I'm going to put the Kappa in the not all group. So this is Van Acht that we're looking at. She's had a phenomenal day today as she's now chasing. Well, wow, this has gotten interesting, hasn't it, Nathan? As Cecil's opened up a nice gap here.
And she's got Mobbs almost on her wheel right along with her. Look at this perfect use of steamrollers back to back with their sprinting power. See, when you kick across a line like that and then you don't sit up, actually, though, you continue on with this effort. They can see the damage that's being done. Then they throw these steamrollers. They've got 2 Wahoo Lacoles up front now. And this is the winning moves for WLC. Lou Bates is still in here. They can try and rally something for the No Pins team. But WLC are showing the separation and talent that they can pull off here. Look at the standings now. We said that this would be the moment, and it is proving to be the moment here. Aeonian Race Team no longer involved at the front. Van Eyck is the only one that can do something. She has to work with V-Win.
If you're Wahoo Lacole, Lou Bates doesn't even exist right now. I mean, as far as she is not your problem. You can ride with her. You can take her to the line. If she wins the race, no problem, because it's really Aeonian and Cryo that you're worried about at this point in the season. So Lou Bates is a non-negative factor here. You see what I'm saying? You don't need to worry about Lou. Just try to get her to work a little bit.
These two would be the only thing I'd be thinking about. I mean,
and you don't need to worry about. Yeah, I mean, really, Van Acht is the rider you're worried about here, right?
Yeah, because the KRT team is not going to be too involved when it comes to the points overall here. V, though, it's really great to see her put them back on the map here.
Agreed.
In some ways, and it's great to see V back in racing at a top level. It's been a while since we've seen her around, so awesome to see. She's going to have to grab onto this wheel.
Look at the Wolf. The Wolf was chasing V.
Smells the sweet potatoes. Bar here now from WLC with Matthew on her wheel. She doesn't even want to carry Matthew up too far at this point. She just wants to make sure that she beats her to the line. That would be the WLC tactic here, I would think, is just beat every rider amongst the group that they're with to the line, but sit in and do not chase at all.
Well, so now if you're Aeonian, you can't worry about this with Bar on the wheel of Van Acht either, because now you really have to say, okay, well, what are we doing? Where's Cryogen, Stelvio? And it's interesting. This is going to be a really, really fun back half of the season. Jumping in with the guys, Nathan, they're through the middle part of the course now.
I got to give a shout out to Tepe L'Oreal because we got so excited about what's happening with the women's race. Tepe came in, the chat was like, guys, thank you so much. Unless he was just saying guys and really excited about the fact that his team and WLC were doing an amazing job off the front. It could have been both, but it got the job done. Thank you, Tepe. We're talking about you at the beginning of the broadcast. Not sure if you heard about it. You might have had your ears ringing. It was absolutely negative, everything we said.
Yeah, not a fan. Not a fan. Tepe's so cool. He's got me wanting to go visit Helsinki. I want to go to.
Who doesn't want to visit? Now. He's going to end up with the whole Zwift community in his backyard.
He's a real ambassador for Zwift.
Campers.
I mean, he must be Simon's arch nemesis. When you think about Simon has spent his entire life wanting a Tron bike and is only halfway there.
His entire life. Prior to Zwift even, he was born wanting the Tron bike.
Where Tepe basically earned his in 1 week on a trial account.
On a trial account, too. Not even transferable. That's as NFT as it gets right there. Pinkerton now up and over the top here. AHDRLT. It's going to be Gerke, though. This man can sprint. We've seen it over and over again. RABD now. The German rider on the Tron, up and out of the saddle. They're trying to come over the top, but he's got the jump on him at 14 watts per kilogram. Not going to touch him. It's going to be a race for second. Beatty from Team Jet, followed up by the F Cancer team out of Portugal with Coutinho. And some continuance here. Gerke perhaps as well. We've seen splits here over and over again, and I think it's happening again, Dave.
Wow, this has been such a great course to race on for exactly this reason. It creates moments like this as you see the beautiful cherry blossoms in Makuri Islands as the riders are racing now through the middle part of this course, and Nathan is 100% correct. These guys not up in this front cluster here are really going to have, now it's going to marry these two groups together, but it looks like another, wow, I mean, just look at the extensive number of riders that are trailed out of this group. Big moment just happened here after that rooftop or the castle points were just awarded there.
It's going to be a tough day for the sprinters out here today. The likes of James.
It is.
Usually a rider you need to really watch out for if you come to the line. But the truth is, I think, that with the uphill grinds, a rider like Bevan's going to have to just hang on. He's got a solid kick for the win out there today, but can he hang on the climb? Because they are going to be pressing 6-7+ watts per kilogram up and over the top of that. But they sent Deepak Leak off the front here a little bit. Morgan giving it a go. Rachel Elliott move.
Yeah, let's see if he can channel his inner Rachel here. It's a long-range attack. Takes a special athlete to pull that off, Nathan, that's for sure. But Morgan would qualify. The Deepak elite rider here has got 5 seconds in the bank right now. He's going to need to start stacking that up like cordwood here. They is
are the team for defense, too, it looks like. They're currently the top team.
This is a good play from them. I mean, all in all, that you got to like a move like this because it puts the other teams on a back foot here.
5 seconds. They're letting it go, actually. They're watching. They're just watching them.
I don't think they have to be too worried.
You look at the speed, though. Look at the speed. 47, 48. It's similar to what Rachel was pulling off, though, as far as speed differentiations goes. But
yeah, but Rachel didn't have a group of 50 guys right behind.
Exactly. Yep.
Right.
Exactly. So maybe 35, but yeah.
Either way. Yeah.
Either way. Yeah.
Enough guys.
Enough guys. Yeah.
100%. Well, it's so interesting, isn't it? When you get over 12 riders, it goes from being a group to a peloton.
Is that right? What it is?
Well, in my mind, it's funny.
12?
I've never thought about that.
Is it like the official? Let's get official here.
So anything more than 20 is no longer a breakaway. That's a front group at that point.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, just sort of like I'm working this out in my own mind.
Is there like a rules? Like, do we have a rules just like that? Like, I want to know if there's rules about this.
Definitely not, right? But I mean, that's a peloton chasing there. That's not a chase group that he's got right behind him. A chase group would be like 5 riders kind of thing. That's a reduced peloton. It's been a reduced peloton kind of day out here in the McCurry Islands.
We're going to have we have to have a conversation. Wow, Twitch chat is blowing up today. Good to see everybody hanging out over on Twitch. We see a Debbie, Pookie, Tappy's here as well. Totes is hanging out. Great to see everybody as well over there. And everyone hanging out over on the YouTube channel. Let us know, when is it a peloton? When is it a breakaway? When it is a front group? What's the definitions, chat? You know, and this is, does pineapple belong on pizza? That's where we're going here.
Look at the steamrollers going up, Nathan. 1.
The Jet Racing Team, just so you guys know, there is the team without the jerseys for some reason on the leaderboards there, but Iwabachi and Beatty with some solid points, and I think they're really doing a good job in this top. They're going to be forced to reckon with here still for this team, this DPAC Elite team. They're still in the conversation for sure. But Sam Lindsay now to the front, the New Zealander. This is one of Anna Russell's favorite. Morgan following it up here, and DPAC Elite letting us know they are not going to lie down up against that Jet team.
What an image that is. I mean, is every rider on a Tron bike outside of the very rare one out here? I would say so. It shows you the level that these guys are at.
Just this guy.
Yeah, this one.
Seldrick. He's a good rider.
Seldrick.
Really good rider, actually, though. I really like this guy. I've raced with him before, and we've seen him out here plenty of time here. Pereira there as well from the F Cancer team. But, yeah, he's the only one that's not. We're just pointing out. No Tron bike. It's a
little bit of FOMO, fear of missing out, fear of wrong bike, whatever that would be. As we take a look at Fabian Davola, no surprise to see the Belgian there with the top points at 47. It's going to be Iwabuchi with 36, the Jet rider Nathan was just talking about, 33 points for Beatty. It's going to, as you work our way down, you can see Guerra with 28 and Amini with 22. You know, Jet's having a good day here, Nathan. Quietly, they've got 3 riders sitting up in our top 7 on points. Let's see if they can close out the deal.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this is a solid ride by Jet, and this may be a breakthrough for them on the day, but they've got to deal with the fact that DPAC Elite have shown up with a plan. You can tell there's 3 riders here, all toward the front, just covering the moves from Warner. So you can kind of see in the way that they're moving amongst the pack, they seem to have control of their effort, control of where things are going to go right now. Exactly. Not letting Jet get away with anything, and they know that there's so many points at the top of this KOM, as well as the break point. They might end up with 4 riders. James Bevitt, we talked about being one of the best sprinters in the world. He can come over the top of almost anything if he makes this lead group. I would want to be dropping these boys at this point, but they've just set too hard of a tempo. Jet, I think this is not their forte compared to DPAC is what it looks to me.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't drop Bevan out of this group, you're not going to win this bike race. If he's in the group that sprints, he's almost impossible to beat. He's that good. So this is really that battle now. Do you go hard enough to get rid of him? Well, it's going to take a big effort. You can see DPAC has got 4 guys up in this group. They make up a quarter of the front group right now. That's Motomatsu.
Just trying to hang on. He's almost getting jettisoned at this point for Jet here. Beatty's off the back, 12 seconds here at this point. That's the only rider from Jet now. DPAC Elite are showing that it don't matter what Jet's going to throw at them when it comes to the points early on. They're going to take the climbs to him.
Yeah, well, this is a command performance from DPAC Elite, to tell you the truth. They're showing just how good they are in a really strong field. They are having their way with this group. And I mean, Fabian Towle, the Belgian rider, he's built up a strong program around him. And look at this, Nathan. Again, another very dangerous moment as it looks like their Deepak is going to attack out of this group. This is going to be Lindsay going clear. Again, Anna Russell's boy here hitting hard right now. The New Zealander is in fuego.
And there we go with the steamroller, looking to walk away from everybody else. This is going to perhaps cause a new breakaway situation like we saw in the women's race. The women, we are going to jump in with them, everybody, here momentarily. I just want to get Sam. He's about to cross this line. We are going to get a sprint heads up here in just a second as well with these ladies. Nobody's really trying to break away. It's WLC versus Lou Bates here on your left-hand side of the screen. Sam Lindsay, right side of the screen, going to be taking this down. We're jumping right back to the ladies in just a second, everybody. Lindsay, though, 7.4 watts per kilogram over the top. He's going to walk away with this one. Second there's going to go Gerke. This is over for sure, it looks like. Then Lindsay's going to take that down. Let's jump back in with the ladies here as they're just about to open things up.
Okay, so the guys at about 10K to go. This is it for the win here. And certainly it looks good for Wahoo Lecole. They have had their best week in the history of esports. As a matter of fact, no team has ever done what they've done. They're not only doing it on the men's and the women's side, they're doing it in Premier and Community. Let's see if they can close out this deal. They're going to have to beat one of the most talented.
This is from 200 to go. Bates, 11 watts per kilogram. Mobs goes too late, I think. She's got 12 watts per kilogram. Does she have an arrow power up? That's the question. No, she doesn't. Lou Bates, it looks like perhaps. Rhea Mobs, no, it's not going to happen. Bates takes it down. WC going to have to go second and third.
Which is plenty of points for them to end up being the top team on the day. It looks like, but how about Lou Bates, huh?
Great job. Welcome back to V-Win for fifth place on the day as well. So big shout out to her for KRT. It looked like we'll get some more of these finishing as they come across. But again, this is the conversation all day long. Scattered across the entirety of this course have been bodies just trying to drag themselves across that finish line when it comes to how difficult this has been.
I had a chance to go meet V-Win in Seattle. If you go Google the world of Zwift, you can find a great look at V and where she was living a few months ago. Really interesting, fun person. Just a good example of what our community is all about.
Neo Flinor, I love you, man. I love the comments coming on in here. It looks like you thought it was great commentary until we started putting pineapple on pizza. It's
Thank you, Neil.
You know, it's really all about the kind of ham that you use. If it's the bad ham, if the ham's good, the pineapple will be great. It just comes down, you know.
Not everyone's on board with that.
You know what's funny is I really thought that Hawaiian pizza was way more popular than it is, and then
it really isn't as popular.
And it isn't. I really thought it was, and like I love it. I absolutely love Hawaiian pizza, but like I'm realizing that I am really not the usual. Like that.
Yeah, you're in a minority, I think, for sure.
Which is fine. You know, I'm extraordinary. I'll give you that.
A man of extraordinary talents. Yes.
Taste buds. I don't know about talents. Extraordinary taste buds.
Matt Stevens yesterday was on Twitter advocating for a new category of fruit soups.
Yeah, see, he's going to like pineapple then.
He would. He's your
in chat right now. Ask Matt Stevens on Twitter, pineapple on pizza. Dave and Nathan are asking, and we're going to get a yes.
So I would guess yes. I would definitely think Matt would be on your side. So how do you beat James Bevan here, Nathan? Deepak has got to just.
And Deepak can cover anything you go. Anything you give at this point, it is getting covered by Deepak. So what do you even do? Is it just a foregone conclusion?
Well, yeah. I don't have a strong argument there. You know, I mean, I don't know that there's a tactic. I guess just trust in your sprint, try to get the right positioning. It's certainly looking like a sprint is the best you're going to do. I don't see how you attack this group and stay away. But then again, I'm not riding in this front group. These guys know what they've got.
I love Karsten Ivany. And actually, yes, you're right. I like the bacon better than the
Canadian
ham.
bacon is way better.
Yeah, way better. I'm with you there 100% there, Karsten. It's just I've been around some not so great Hawaiian pizza recently, and I forgot. I actually forgot, Karsten.
We're talking about Wisconsin-based Hawaiian pizza, right? So
what are you trying to say here? I don't even know.
Well, they're cheese focused. I mean, there's no. You're
put
behind
like
the
5 kinds of cheese on our pizza,
right? But they don't put their attention into the ham. They don't care about the ham as much.
We're getting okay. See, I might not be that odd one of an out here. I mean, even Ian Mulligan's starting to jump in here.
You're getting a lot of support, huh?
Yeah, we're getting some support here. So,
well, we can joke around, Nathan. Although at some point, I'm wondering, is Johansson going to get up here and join the? No,
I thought you were going to say we're going to have a pizza eat off on stream. I thought that's what we were going to talk about for a second there. Johansson solids 15. We should do it. All right, fine. DoorDash it to Dave's place, my place. We're having a pizza off. First, we have to actually ride like a Tour de Zwift or Tour Watopia ride, and then we'll have a pizza off all on ZCL. We'll have. And there's got to be Hawaiian pizza versus what are we going to do? Hawaiian versus what? What is the pizza that is going to like match Hawaiian that a lot of people will like? That'll be kind of eccentric though.
So just cheese, New York style cheese pizza. You don't get fancy. That's just the original pizza.
Really?
Cheese pizza.
Chicago though, Chicago style, like the big Chicago deep dish style. Are we talking thin crust? Way. Like where are we going? Either way.
All right. I like all of the crusts except for Detroit crust, but
pizza boys, straight up pizza boys over here, and pizza we crust with Dave. Like it.
Right. We'll see those guys later tonight in the
we will
Americas.
See those guys. They need to send us pizzas.
Right. Yeah, guys, get your act together out there. So this is the group that's going to be sprinting for the win. It certainly looks like Deepak. We have a chance to joke around a little bit because Deepak is putting on a clinic here today.
Domination.
In the McCurry Islands. Yeah.
We don't even have.
This is actually the only race, Nathan, the only race today, I think, where, of course, Rachel Elliott's solo break, that was pretty clear cut. But in general, it's been pretty hard to tell what team has been dominating, but not in this case.
For sure. This is definitely a situation where, early on, Jet obviously put some eggs in the basket, right? They had a couple eggs in the basket where it was like, okay, they're here to race out here today. The moment we started going uphill, Deepak Elite just said,
the moment that James Bevan made the front group with 3 teammates, that was kind of the lights out moment, I think.
Sam Lindsay in there as well. I mean, just not a lot to do about that. Now they're controlling this. The Vola here, 5'8" on the front. They're completely controlling this too.
Much like Kirkmeyer, Deepak looks like they are mounting a challenge to get back into Premier.
Which would be great to see. I would love to see them in the playoffs. Let's talk about playoffs. I think this season are going to be the best yet. I mean, and I'm not just saying that. I am not just saying that because it's this season or anything like that. I just feel like the depth and the reality of our second year of world championships and the professionalism of the sport and people really, we're starting to get that group of racers that do want to make this not just their hobby, but their professional sport. They want to really push it in that direction.
They're committed to it.
Committed to it. It's more than just it's beyond lifestyle. It's
not a guest appearance ride where they've only ridden on Zwift a couple of times and they're going to it's now these athletes have learned their craft, Nathan. And you can't show up unprepared these days.
So I mean and you're talking about getting to the top level, and that's your ticket in. I think that there's teams who are really, really hungry this time around. I think what we saw from WLC, they kind of set, here we go, Sam Lindsay setting it up, and they're going to have to cover this, or do they just say forget? If they say forget it and let it go, though, they're just setting up to get beat by one of the best sprinters in all of Zwift racing here. They have to cover this.
Have you ever heard the rock and the hard place? Because that's right where they are. In between it right now. Yeah. You chase and you're exposed. You don't chase and you don't win. So I guess that means you have to chase.
I think there's unless you just want to race for third, fourth, fifth. I mean,
if that's, and I don't know too many racers that's their mindset, but I mean, choose.
I would from right here. You go from the back of the pack and you jump across as hard as you possibly can. I thought he was going for it, Pereira, but he's going to sit right on up, and they're just going to let Sam Lindsay roll. Lindsay's just rolling now.
There's not much you can do. There really isn't. I mean, 4 riders up in this group, including the best sprinter. So the harder you chase, the more you're playing into James Bevan's hands. This is why, when a team. So this is a good teaching moment for me, Nathan, as far as so many times I say, hey, if you're D-Pack and you're in this group, if you don't win this race, you should be kicking yourself. You really blew it. You had a huge advantage here. And as a professional racer, this is where be a professional, go win. Well, that's exactly what they're doing right now. If Lindsay doesn't win this race, you know that Bevan is going to absolutely barnstorm the finale. So they're doing what they need to do.
Coutinho needed to not attack off the front there. He's actually giving a wheel to the rest of these riders. He needed to come from the back right through them.
It's tough.
A little bit of an experience moment there, in my opinion. But I agree. He's going to drag them up here.
And they're going to make the catch, right? But at what cost?
Who's getting the best out of all of this? Garricky?
Smart? But again,
Smart?
They're trying to do what you're talking about, Nathan. They just can't quite build up enough momentum. But this catch is going to be made. No doubt about it. But
so the question is, what does D-Pack do once the catch is made? They send another and let Bevan sit, right? Attack. Yeah, they have to.
Exactly.
Steamroller.
So Towle attacks. If they make the catch, Towle has to counter.
Otherwise, they kind of just sit in and risk.
Can you imagine if they didn't get one steamroller out here? That would be unbelievable bad luck.
Here goes Fabian, just like you said, 11 watts per kilogram coming over the top here. They need to follow, though, because it's going to be risky. You send one with 2. They do. Morgan comes through. James Bevan looking to cover here, sitting in the wheels. They're really trying to set him up here. They're trying to really put a wrench into D-Pack Elite. They might be able to do it here. I sense a little bit of scatter amongst the team tactics here at this point. They've got to keep it together. They've done so. Setting Bevan up still, it looks like, as he sits about 4th wheel.
Yeah, we're at 1K to go. 1K as they re-enter Neokyo. It's a sneaky finish, no doubt about it. These riders will see an arch that we don't see, so they have that benefit here, but it comes up on you very, very quickly.
All right, where are the hacky sack boys? There they are, passing them up.
Did you see them?
I saw them in the alleyway. They tried throwing this.
I assume they're playing hacky sack. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt.
That looked like a hacky sack here. Yeah. They definitely did. The setup now, 500 meters or so to go. Riders are going to start getting a little bit antsy here. Very early go, 16 watts per kilogram in an aero power up. Has he caught him out here? Here comes Bevan now, 17 watts per kilogram. No aero power up from the monster that he is. He's got 18 watts per kilogram, but it shows you how strong the aero power up is. And it looks like Garricky pulls it off. It was a power up situation. Coutinho next, Towle, Morgan. Then it will be Pereira. Still solid by D-Pack. They end up with the most there across the line in the top 10. But wow, that was no arrow. That's what it came down to, really. Because Bevan had 18 watt per kilogram to give.
And again, at the end of the day, it's all coming out in the wash because D-Pack will pick up enough points that they will be the top team. And that's how we keep score here. They didn't need to win the race to win the day. But certainly James Bevan will be a little disappointed that he didn't get a chance to put his wheel over the line first. But Garricky has the right power up, the right time, with the right motivation. That's what bike racing is all about.
100%. As amazing racing all around here that we just saw. Let's go ahead and take a look at the results from the women's race that we saw play out just a few moments ago. And Dave, why don't you take it away? Bates, she's been one of the perennials around women's racing when it comes to kicks, and she makes it happen across the line.
Very similar to what we just saw with the men, right? Where one team was dominant, but they didn't get the win. as Lou Bates. Congratulations again, Lou, on a great ride today for No Pins R3R. It's going to be Rhea Mobbs. What a ride, Rhea, for second today. And her teammate from Sweden, it's going to be Sonia Cecil taking third. Eva van Acht was up there for Aeonian Race Team today in fourth. Good to have V Win back in fifth today. For KRT, it's Aline Barr in sixth, the German rider. Then Irish woman Vanessa Fursden in seventh. Two more Wahoo LaColle riders there. KRT had Anna Costina. We're going to be watching out for KRT. Looks like the Rockets are on the move right now. Wendy Matthey, the Belgian, for Aeonian with their teammate Argentinian Marina Arce. That's your top 10 for the women's A's.
And in with the racing we just were watching for the men, see if we can bring this on in. It was Tom Gerke getting the upset just by 0.25 seconds over James Bevan with that well-timed punch and arrow power-up. He got the gap. Leonardo Contino comes on through for third, followed up by Fabian Davola for Deepak Elite there in fourth. Ed Morgan from Deepak Elite in fifth. Leonel Pereira for the F Cancer team there coming on through for sixth place. James Stewart for TBR 58 tooth. That is a huge big ring there in seventh. Werner wins HDR Cake Crusade. Does that exist? What's that? Unknown fellow.
Oh, it does.
Veritas and Sam Lindsay after that late attack fading, but getting it done there for the D-Pack Elite. Well, we have been live for over almost 3 hours here at this point. It's been a long day of broadcasting so far, and we've got more to come at you, everybody. Stick around the channels, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, as well as Twitter. We are live on each of those. America's East will be taking place here in just a couple of hours. We'll be live at 6:20 Central Time. Dave, solid racing. Final words on EMEA. It's kind of been the same racing across the board with this course just blowing things apart.
Yeah, I don't know how we could ever expect the racing level to get any higher than what we're witnessing here. It's so much fun to watch across the board. Awesome job to all our racers today.
Yeah, head on over to WTRL.racing for the results across all of the categories, and we'll see you tonight for America's East and America's West. Hit those follow buttons, likes, comments. It helps the channel a ton. Make sure to get those pizzas out to us as soon as possible. And we'll see you later. Right on.